closer than you think. It's not a tournament. It's what you don't see on TV. The cash is real. The stakes are high. They bet big. They win big. They lose big. High stakes live action poker. Live at the bike. Watch it live on the web or play it if you dare at the Bicycle Casino right here in Los Angeles.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Live at the Bike, brought to you by the Bicycle Casino in Los Angeles, California. The first and only webcast of real action cash game poker. My name is Bart Hanson. I'm here with Dave Talkman. Tonight's Thursday. We're going to do a little 5-5, no limit, $300 minimum buy-in, $500 maximum buy-in. Game's been going on for a while, so it's pretty big. We probably have at least $5,000 to $10,000 on the table.
Yeah.
I would say. So let's head over to the table and let's get into it.
Let's do it. Interesting. Actually, we've got an interesting hand right now. I'd love to just jump into the hand because we've got a set of eights in seat number 2, and he's bet. And we've got Chester from 2+2 in seat number 1, and he's got an overpair with the jacks.
Jack of spades as well.
Yeah, and he's got the jack of spades as well. And I believe there was a bet, and now, actually, I believe Mark bet right into Joe here, and Joe's trying to think of what he can do here.
From the pot size, it might have went bet, raise, and then a re-raise by Mark.
Possibly.
From what I see here in the pot.
And Mark's still got some money.
Yeah.
But not much. So pretty much, if you're gonna call this, if you're Joe, you're pretty much gonna move all in. Always interesting when you have a set.
Now, when you have a pair like this, which is jacks with the jack of spades, and let's say it went bet, raise, re-raise, I think at this point you've got to know jacks aren't ahead, and you just hope the guy doesn't. You hope he flopped the flush, and maybe he's got a higher flush. In this case, there's more spades live. Of course, the board can't pair.
Yeah, Joe's actually in decent place here. He can catch either one of the jacks, obviously, or a spade.
Yeah. He's got 10 outs. Mark, of course, has redraws. This pot is big.
Yeah, it's about $1,000 pot. I want to say maybe $800 pot.
Yeah. So, here we go to the turn. Turn is a 6. Joe needs a jack or a spade. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, and Joe's going to suck out on him.
And Joe with the big stack, probably one of the better players at this table once we go around and introduce the table.
Yeah, I think so,
He's going to be pretty aggressive. Let's start it up here.
Yeah, well, seat 1, obviously, that's Joe. If anybody, you have 2+2, he is Chester on 2+2. Wow. Seat number 2 is Mark. And unfortunately for Mark there, he's reaching in his wallet, getting some more money. Seat number 3, we've got Irwin. And I think Irwin's been on the show before. Seat number 4 is Cheryl.
Bluff shoes, Cheryl.
Yeah, there's the bluff shoes.
Yeah.
Got to say, everybody's favorite, Cheryl there.
Yeah.
Love her. Seat number 5, we've got Dan. Seat number 6, Jerry. And Jerry is running great. I was playing in the 3 to 5 game with him earlier. And he had, I want to say he had close to $1,500 in before. Now, since he moved to a new table and it was voluntary move, he could not take the chips with him. In a must-move scenario, you can take your chips with you. Seat number 7 is Rick.
Rick might be new to the show. Never seen him on the show before.
Yeah. Seat number 8 is Clint. And Clint's a very, very solid player. Now, he was telling me about a new poker site, actually. I think it's pocket5s.com. Have you heard of that?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was talking about how a lot of the people on Pocket Fives actually, they were talking about Live at the Bike.
Yeah.
And how they were all kind of getting buzzed about the Wednesday night show. And seat number 9 is Kathy. Kathy, not normally a no-limit hold'em player. She predominantly plays stud high-low.
High-low.
But
when she's on the stud high-low table, she is probably the youngest at the table.
Oh, yeah, she's a youngster now, obviously. Not at this table, but she's, new to the no-limit. She's kind of been, jumping into the fray a little bit here and there, huh?
Yeah. Wow, it looks like Mark is he on tilt here? Mark has made a huge raise on the button here with 6-7 offsuit, and Cheryl's got 9s. This is one of these interesting things when you talk about tilt. Would you ever call here with 9s? And she is way ahead here.
It's the funny thing is, Mark is obviously on tilt, but I love doing this with kings and aces. Mm-hmm. Love doing it with aces and kings.
when it looks like you've lost a pot.
I even like doing it with ace king sometimes because people will call you sometimes the hand as weak as ace jack, and I don't mind the laydown because of that. It isn't a trap play.
Yeah.
And you've got to realize there is a good chance that he could just have king jack there, and you're calling up all your chips with.
Remember, you put it. It's almost like kind of like a tournament. Basically, you're calling almost an all-in. And if you've got 9s or 10s, it just seems like you're probably gonna be at best 50-50. And then you're probably taking the worst of it versus when you're taking the best of it, which is 9s is an overpair, right?
And obviously 9s are a lot better than, say, 4s or 5s because he could be making that move with 7s or 8s. In this case, he was making it with 6-7.
Right.
But, this time he's making it with 6-7. Next time he could have aces and make the same move.
Now, I don't know. Have we ever seen Cheryl play up in this game before, 300 to 500? I think this might be a first for her. She normally plays the 200 game.
5 players.
5-way action here, limped around. Yellow chips are $5 chips. That's predominantly what we use here in this game. $300 min, $500 max buy-in. Best restricted buy-in game in town, Dave.
Not even a question. Now, Clint has flopped the straight. He has flopped the nuts.
Now, look at this. Jerry is going to lead out into the bottom end of an open-ended straight draw, which really is garbage because if a 9 comes, anyone with a jack would have a better straight. And let's see what Clint is going to do. Is he going to raise? No, he just calls. It's a rainbow board here. There could be some action killers.
A lot of action killers if Jerry were to have like 2 pair here.
Yeah.
And there's one of them.
Turns a 10. Clint now has a straight flush draw, open-ended straight flush draw.
And at this point, you almost hope your opponent has a 10.
Yeah, but
and I like to bet.
Jerry checks, and Clint is going to bet here.
Yeah, this is an easy laydown.
Now, obviously, if Clint had raised the flop, everyone would have folded anyways. But, again, sometimes we talk about the possibility of action killers and such.
Right. Now, this game, obviously, since you're not quite as deep as, say, the big game, like last night's game, there isn't that urgency to build a pot right away.
Right.
But you've got to be aware of it as you get deeper. Say happy birthday to Sir Felix Cat over at 2+2.
Button's going to move over here to Cheryl in C4.
Well, it's good to know. Apparently, Baron Vangertoth is only playing online poker now when Live at the Bike is on.
Ah.
Lucky for him that we are a live loop and you can actually watch a replay.
That's right. Sometimes they talk about when you take an IQ test and you have classical music going on in the background, it improves your IQ. I wonder if the same thing can be said about Live at the Bike and playing internet poker.
Are you trying to? Are you comparing us to classical music?
Yes.
Wow.
In the poker sense.
15.
Mark is going to make a little $15 raise here. Now, Dan has got pocket jacks here in the small blind, and he's going to raise. Now, not in this case specifically, but a lot of times we do see people really overplay jacks in this game. Mark has actually got 6s. I like the raise by Dan to the mini raise in that case, but you got to start thinking sometimes in a deeper game with more advanced players, you might not want to build a big pot with jacks out of position. So Dan's in pretty good shape here.
And there's a 6.
Wow, Mark's flopped a set. Now, the thing for Dan, though, is that he's probably not going to lose that much. There is a king on board here.
And that's the problem. When you're calling, let's say you knew Dan had jacks, and you go, well, I'm going to call to see if I can hit my set so I can win a big pot.
Check on the flop. Mark did not bet the set. And now Dan is going to bet. I got to tell you, Mark, I know he watches the show. A lot of people like to check raise there, maybe even with ace, king, or aces. I bet that flop 100% of the time. I hope he check raises me. A bet here by Dan. And Mark, there are so many cards that could kill all the action here. He just calls.
And how about that one?
And the river is an ace, and now Dan can beat almost nothing.
What do you do if you're Dan, though? Think about it. When check, you re-raise before the flop. And when check, pretty much you're telling your opponent you have queens or jacks, right?
He's going to throw a little bit of a $75 bet out here.
Would you ever just check and fold?
All in.
And now Mark moves all in. Well, let me ask you this question. Is there any value for Mark to raise all in here? I guess you get a call from ace-king, but if you start putting Dan on a range of hands that he would re-raise with out of the blind, I know this game isn't that big. What other hand besides ace-king would call an all in there?
75 more.
Just start to think of it.
Yeah, it's an odd play, although is there any way Dan kind of mixes it up today and raises with ace-queen suited, something like that?
But would he really call an all in there on the river?
Sometimes you see some odd stuff on this show. I mean, I saw a hand earlier. Jerry actually in seat 6 was involved in a hand earlier where there was, the board was paired. It was 2 sevens were on board, okay? And Jerry had the ace kicker, ace 7. Another gentleman had 5-7. Both players had $1,000 behind.
Yeah.
All the money went in.
On a 7-7 flop.
Yeah. The board was king 7-7. Jerry had ace 7. The other guy had 5-7. I mean, how much heat can you take with 5-7 there? And you say the same thing. You see an odd play. We see odd plays all the time, and you never know.
Well, I like Jerry. I mean, ace 7. I think you're going to go to Ward there, obviously.
No,
especially
Jerry.
if you think someone has a 7.
Jerry went to war. He said,
Yeah.
if you got a full house, you got a full house.
Right.
And the other guy actually.
Did it actually go bet raise with the 7, something
It
like
went
that?
bet, raise, re-raise, move all in,
Yeah.
call. I mean, it was like,
Yes.
talk about an overplay with trips with only a 5 kicker.
5-way action here, straddled by seat 8, which means it is actually 7-way action, so it's a $70 pot. 5-5-3 here on the flop. Doesn't look like anyone has much. And it gets checked over to Irwin, and he's going to take a shot at it here. He's actually got a big draw. He's got nut clubs and a gut shot wheel draw here with ace-4 of clubs, gut shot straight flush draw. Talk about when you play like ace-4, that's the flop you're looking for, not a dry ace.
Yeah, exactly.
And we'll see if you got the big prize.
Button moves over here to, and again, if you raise with a 5 there, and especially say if it was heads up, and you might call, sometimes I think ace suited wheel card's a little overrated, but let's say you're in there heads up, and you're the type of guy that raises with a 5, with a flush draw, with a little overpair. A guy might come out and bet with kings or queens out of position, and you raise him, and it kind of freezes it. Freezes
Oh,
him.
definitely. Because they have to obviously give you credit for a hand, and you might have a 5 there.
Yeah.
They don't know. I also like the bet, obviously, because you get to figure out really quickly what your opponents have, and if somebody has a 5 and is kind of sandbagging it, you will quickly figure it out.
Email here from Alan, who this was his last day as a prop, I think, was yesterday. He said, I was the youngest one at the stud high-low table. Well, I guess that's true, Alan. He says, yay, I'm 3. He's going to be going off on his own. Little raise here by seat 6 with 5-6 offsuit. Jerry made it, I think, 15 to go. And he's flopped the best hand here. He's got middle pair. He's going to bet.
Well, it's an automatic bet there on the button, isn't it? And he takes it down.
He bets 45 and he takes it down there.
Once again, we like to keep the show as interactive as possible, so email us at live@thebike.com. You can also follow a live thread over at 2plus2.com. Go to forums, World Poker Tour, and other events, and go to Live at the Bike thread for June 7th?
June 8th.
June 8th.
Yep.
Time flies.
We, wait a minute. Yeah, it is June 8th, right?
Okay.
Oh.
I'll take your word for it.
I was confused. We actually filmed another edition of the video blog today, Dave, and that will be up, I think, tomorrow morning. So check that out tomorrow.
Microphone's right there. Did you hear that?
Or lately they have.
Hear what she said?
And
40.
Erwin's going
Oh, man, we're getting aroused
to
over
raise
here.
this up with pocket 6s. Made it 40 to go. Cheryl's going to pocket 4s, correct fold. Erwin doesn't really have that much in front of him. It's a good fold there by Cheryl in seat 4. Now you wonder if Clint can make the same fold. Again, he is out of position with 5s. Now, if a couple people come in here in between, maybe he does
Right.
overcall.
Now, how much was the raise?
40.
Yeah.
Looks like Erwin's got maybe 250 left. And Jerry is going to call with a very speculative queen 10 offsuit here. He's in position. And that is going to bring Clinton here. Now, again, the problem with queen 10 is if you flop one pair, you have no idea whether it's the 10 or the queen where you're at. 3-way action here. Well, he's flopped an open-ended straight draw, Jerry has.
And that is the kind of flop. I mean, there's a 2 flush out there. You got to be aware of that. But that's the kind of flop you want with queen 10.
Yes,
You don't
yes.
want to hit a queen.
Right.
I mean, as opposed to 10, actually a 10 is better than the queen, I really think.
Erwin's going to bet 60 here.
You haven't played a hand yet, hardly.
Now, remember, there is a 2 flush out there. What is Jerry going to do? He is going to call. And again here, you might take the card, although if the guy checks to me, I actually might bet here if another rag comes.
Yeah, definitely.
Turn
Well, and I'm
queen.
definitely going to bet now.
He picks the top pair up.
Are
And
you
now
kidding me?
Erwin's moving in.
Wow.
Erwin is moving in here. And now for Jerry, you got to look at it like, well, I mean, the pot right now,
Well, what do you put this guy on? He raised pre-flop, he bet into you on the flop, and now he's moving all in. What do you put him on?
I
Do
mean,
you put him on ace-queen? Do you put him on aces?
you put him on aces, kings. I mean, Dave, the pot right now is about, with that $250 bet, It's about a $450 pot, $250 to call. So he's getting a little under 2-1 here.
And let's say you put the guy in aces. Irwin's kind of representing pocket aces here, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
So you put him on pocket aces, you think, okay, my queen is good.
11 outs, Dave.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Obviously, yeah, the king. Actually, no, more than that. Because you have the queen is good, the 10 is good as well. You'd put him on. If you put him on aces.
13 outs, excuse me. 13 outs.
But unless you might have kings, too, and then the 10 is not good.
So 13 outs would be 1, 2, 3, about one chance in about...
Well, you're about 3 to 1, right?
One chance in 3.5, about 2.5 to 1. He's getting a little under 2 to 1, but you got to put the guy on a range, and he folds. The way that guy, he played that.
He could have kings, and if he has kings, your 10 is not good either.
Right.
And the river would have been a... We'll never know.
Usually you don't see that type of kind of sheer aggression at this level from up front. I can tell you, if I was in Jerry's spot, I might fold there too. You might just pick a better spot.
Definitely.
There are other spots. I mean, I had a really bad day, Dave. I played one of the absolute, worst sessions of poker I've ever played because I was calling off on big draws. When I figured, you know what, I might have a slight edge here. For like a $1,500 call, if I'm fortunate, I have a slight edge. And sometimes you just don't want to get mixed up at that point with that much money, especially if you had a weak table.
I mean, you've got to realize, obviously, the ace-king there for seat 6. And these guys are going to battle it again because Irwin is in the... Actually, Irwin limped in with pocket 10s this time.
Yeah.
Interesting, he'd raised with pocket 6s in early position, and now he limps in with 10s. And is Irwin going to limp re-raise, or is he just going to call?
$35 raise, he makes the call.
And we're going to see this heads up. These two guys are going to lock horns again.
It's about a $75 pot here. Well, that's an overpair for Irwin. Let's see how he's going to play it. I might lead right out here because you don't get any information when Jerry makes a continuation bet.
Yeah, we always say checking does not give you any information.
You bet 75, and Irwin is going to call
See, and I don't like the way unless you're going to bet the turn now. Now, see, I think you have to bet this turn.
Well, Jerry's got the ace of clubs, so he's probably not going anywhere.
Yeah, and they check.
And it goes check. Jerry takes the card wisely. Well, the river's a 5.
And now you're going to check it again. There's no value to betting on the river.
Yeah.
And I really don't like the way Irwin played that hand. I think you've got to play it a little more aggressive. Get some information there. Be the better, not the caller.
I mean, I'll go through a quick hand, Dave. I mean, basically Bobby, we've seen Bobby on the show before. He was kind of on tilt. I had limped in a straddle pot in the button with king 7 of clubs. Bobby had just lost a big pot. The flop came 8-6-5 with 2 clubs. A guy bet Bobby moved all in for $1,200 into like a $200 pot, and I called with king 7 of clubs. And unfortunately for me, he had the nut flush draw, and I was basically really screwed. He had ace 9, so he actually had to redraw to a higher straight as well.
Right.
And I lost all 3 times that we ran it. And it's just situations
well,
like that.
Well, you're in bet real bad. I mean, that's
Yeah.
a terrible flop
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's tough sometimes. Obviously there's a fine line between a win and a loss in poker, especially no limit hold'em. Sometimes you're hitting your draws, sometimes you're not. And in the end, as long as you're playing well, you can only control how you play. You can't control results.
The problem I had is I made 2 bad calls today, and I don't really usually tend to call off my money in a bad situation. But,
What is your name?
in this case I did.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the times I'm upset with myself. When I'm calling off money, if I'm moving in with what I think is either the best hand
Or a huge semi-bluff.
or a big semi-bluff and I get called,
And you miss your draw in the semi-bluff. That's what happened to
I
me
just
yesterday.
tap the table and I go,
Yeah.
you know what, hey, I'm moving, I'm going to put the
Yeah.
pressure on my opponent. Once again, I rarely like to be the caller.
If you have ace-king of hearts and you've raised it, and the flop comes 10-6-3 with 2 hearts, and you move in and a guy calls you with pocket jacks, you know what? And you miss your draw, that's going to happen sometimes.
Of course it is, right?
I want him to call with jacks there. Because more often than not, I have an overpair in that spot.
Yeah, or set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jack 9-5 here. Rick has got an open-ended straight draw. Gets checked around. He's picked up a club draw right now as well. The 5 pairs here on the turn. And Dan's got nut clubs in
And
C5.
Rick does not bet this. How do you not bet that?
And the river is a club, and 2 players have a flush, Dan and Rick. And seat number 2,
Mark is
Mark is
taking a
going
shot
to
at it.
lead out with a pair of 3s.
And I don't understand the bet here at all by Mark. It's one thing if he didn't make his pair of 3s. But now that you make a pair of threes, what are you betting it for?
Now, this is fun. Because now, he's just going to min raise. I was going to say, if Dan raises here, what do you do with queen 10 of clubs? He's going to make an easy call. But, we've seen Dan on the show. He might be the type of player that might raise with a 5 there, who's sandbagging as well.
Yeah,
We've
no,
seen him do
definitely.
that.
Definitely, and give Rick credit for not losing that much money.
Yeah.
Now, if Rick bets the turn, he takes it down.
You don't think Dan want to call with the nut club?
I don't know. And maybe. Well, if he bets the flop, he definitely takes it down with the open-ended straight draw. We always try to obviously advocate betting your draws.
And again, kind of a peculiar bet there by Mark because he bets on the 3, not enough to get anybody off the hand.
Well, what is he trying?
If he wants to see that in showdown, he just hopes it gets checked around. That's the goal there at the end.
What is the bet going to get? You're not going to get a 5 out. That's trip 5s. You're probably not going to get a jack off the hand. Probably nobody has a jack. Maybe you get somebody off a 9, like sandbagging it the whole way. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. And maybe you get somebody off a bigger 3. I mean, I just don't understand the bet at all.
Well, Kathy's going to play there, 1 off the cutoff. She just limps in here with king, queen suited, and Joe just limps in with 8s as well in the cutoff. Flop comes ace, 5-3, all spades here.
Now, Irwin's actually got second pair plus a gut shot straight flush draw.
Checked around here. Turn is a 3. Looks like Joe is still in the lead here with 8s.
He is.
And he's going to bet.
A whopping 20? It is 20.
He's going to bet 20 here. Now, if you're Joe in that spot, I actually might bet that flop if it gets checked around to me with the 8 of spades.
I definitely bet that flop.
Yeah. Because
Almost definitely.
especially against pretty good players or pretty tight players from up front, Dave, say you've got ace-7 offsuit from up front and it gets checked around and Joe bets. Are you going to continue on in the hand without a
Of
spade?
course not. Exactly. That's exactly. And there is value there because you can be, first of all, you couldn't be betting with the best hand.
Yeah.
Second of all, you can protect your hands. I think we've got a chip count coming up.
Yep.
There it is. $5,000 on the table. Kathy's got the table covered at $1,000. Joe's got $940 apparently. Although I don't think that's correct. No, I'm pretty sure it's not correct.
Joe, why?
Oh no, he did. He won that hand with the jacks. Right. I'm sorry. And Dan's bringing up the rear at 250. Let's see how they're doing. Kathy's up 500. Joe up 440. Irwin up 300.
So apparently Kathy won hand right before the show.
Yeah, obviously doubled through. And we'll keep track of this throughout the night. Obviously, you talk about what the value of a bet there is, and you always say, why are you putting money in? And you go, well, you can get a better hand off, and also you're also protecting your hand if somebody's in there with, say, the queen of spades or the king of spades.
Kathy's going to raise it here to 25 with ace-jack suited. And let's watch her raise sizes. You wonder if she'll make it more with a big pocket pair. And Clint is going to call out of position here with king 10 of hearts, and he's in trouble if hearts come here. Well, 8-8-4. Let's see if Kathy can make that continuation bet heads up. I think it's gone check here, Dave. Turns a jack. Well, now she outturns Clint. And she is now going to bet. Now, it's funny. If I'm Clint there, I probably lose more because I bet the turn from up front when a jack comes.
You don't think the jack's a scary card?
Yeah.
And you go, okay.
Yeah.
You put her on more like king, queen, ace, king, ace, queen.
Yeah, because we did just see her limp in with king, queen suited. And that hand, I wanted to see if she was going to raise with ace, jack suited. I was kind of figuring she was going to limp in. King, queen suited, ace, jack suited, kind of the same type of those value high Broadway suited card hands.
Right.
I think she's got ace, king, or ace, queen there in that spot.
Okay. No, yeah, and take a shot at it. Why not?
Yeah.
Obviously, that's the value. If you're going to call somebody out of position with a hand like that with king 10, you're obviously looking to take it away.
A couple interesting hands here. Clint is going to bring this one in for 35. He's got pocket 9s here under the gun. Joe is... Now, Kathy's got ace-10 offsuit. Now, Kathy is kind of new to this. Now, she makes the fold. Like I said, I'm going to kind of be watching Kathy because we've never seen her on the show. That's obviously a great fold, second to act with ace-10 offsuit.
Definitely.
Now, Mark here is going to call with ace-queen, which can be a dominated hand offsuit against a solid player.
Now, at least he's in position with that call.
Right.
I always see people calling in the blinds with ace-queen, and that I really don't like.
We're heads up here. 9s against ace-queen. 10-5 deuce. Pretty good flop here. Heads up for 9s.
Yeah, and Clint's a pretty solid player. I mean, he's going to continue betting. He does. He likes that flop, I think.
You bet 70. I mean, Mark has totally missed here.
Yeah, and it's an easy laydown.
Unless he, like we say, unless we, sometimes we get these words introduced like reversed implied odds. Is he going to float off here with a couple of overcards?
It looks like he's raising. Makes it 100 more. And is there any chance Mark had smooth called you with his hand as strong as jacks or queens? Could he smooth call with a hand like ace-10?
The more and more I play 500, and sometimes I'll hop into the 3-5 game when I am, waiting for the 500 game, the more and more that play with a high pocket pair is very rare in this game. The smooth call with a high pocket pair. Very rare. I was telling you about a hand where I had aces yesterday, and I bet the flop when a guy called me, and then he raised me all in on the turn, pretty much on a ragged board.
So if you dismiss the fact that he's got jacks or above,
right,
and you dismiss the fact that he's got a set of 10s, because he probably wouldn't play it that hard, or maybe he would, who knows?
Yeah.
We would, I know that. Then you start thinking, would he call my raise with a hand as weak as ace-10, king-10, even jack-10 suited? Well, he might. You never know. You do see that in this game.
But again, and then when you sometimes see the people move up from this game to that game, up in the 500 game, it's totally foreign to them that someone might have, say, smooth called their big raise. They raise big with queens, and the guy smooth calls them out of the blind or in position with aces.
Yeah, oh, definitely. I mean, you might even, there are times where I'll play in the big game where I will smooth call in position with queens, not necessarily knowing if I have the best hand.
Right. And queens are almost tough. I mean, sometimes if you're heads up, you actually might rather re-raise with queens than aces or kings because your hand is not defined. Whereas if you smooth call with aces and kings, you pretty much know right now you have the best hand. I mean, kings is a little bit hairy sometimes if the guy has aces.
The only problem is, and we'll try to backtrack there, if you do raise with queens, how does that define your hand? I mean, couldn't somebody smooth call you with aces?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, so it doesn't. Sometimes raising with queens doesn't define anything except put more money in the pot, and you end up playing a bigger pot with just one pair of queens.
Jerry's going to raise here to 35 with nines.
Hey, well, he's going to try it again with nines. It didn't work last time. He's going to try it again.
And Clint is going to call out of position here with queen 10 offsuit, and he's hit the queen. See how Clint is going to play it. Very difficult hand to play out of position.
Well, he's actually in position, though, isn't he?
Oh,
yeah, he is. The button is in seat 5.
Oh, I see. Clint straddled.
Yeah.
And Jerry raised the straddle. And then Jerry checked this flop, so now Clint is obviously going to bet here.
Right.
And, if Jerry checks here, I think you just got to give up. I don't think you can continue on. You cannot play this as a check call. I mean, in my humble opinion, Dave.
Yeah, no, I happen to agree with you, and I don't like the check raise here. I don't want to put more money in there, and I think Jerry's just kind of posturing. I think he's getting a little bit of TV time right now. Pretty sure he'll lay this down.
Look at what you do one eyebrow. You saw it on that one. Oh, you are so too comfortable. When I get one eyebrow, it's all
I actually saw Jerry play for the first time yesterday in the 5-10 game.
Then I call.
Said he did pretty well.
He said, obviously we weren't sure which game we were going to spread tonight, whether it be this game or a 5-10 game. And if we had gotten a third table down, 5-10, we were going to put it in this game, but we couldn't get a third table down. But Jerry said he would play in either one.
You will not be the big blind this time. See that? Fully. I had a day where every other straddle was a monster. And the other one was
Butt moves over here to seat number 6. And here we go. Joe Chester has got pocket kings here. $40 raise. Now, did Kathy straddle here? Or did she bring it in for a $10 mini raise? And Irwin's got queens here in seat 3, and he smooth calls. Yeah, Kathy is straddled. So Joe open raises with kings. Irwin smooth calls with queens. And is Kathy going to get involved here out of position with ace-queen offsuit in the straddle spot?
Well, how much is the bet raise? 40, right?
Yeah, it's 30 more to her. And she is going to call.
And that's probably, when you're first starting to play this game, you don't realize the importance of position, especially a stud high-low player where position is changing constantly. It's not fixed like in a game with a button.
9-3-3 here. Pretty good flop. And Irwin might go broke here.
Well, this is a good flop for Dan. It's a good flop for Joe. And it's a good flop for Irwin. And you wonder, who is going to be in trouble here? I don't know if Irwin can get away from this. I really don't.
And if Irwin moves in here, I call in a second if I'm Joe. Because, again, we talk about He's probably not going to do it with the 3 at this level. He might do it with a hand as weak as ace-9. He might have smooth called with 10s or jacks, but I definitely don't think he smooth called with aces because we don't see it. So he moves all in, and I think this is an easy call for Chester, Joe, in seat 1, and not just because I saw the cards, but just because of what we just said. You know, it's interesting we talk about a strategy, then we just see it here right now.
Yeah, man. It's not a scary board at all. You wonder why is this guy moving in so quick. That's why you kind of dismiss the 3, you know? With 9-3-3 rainbow, you're scared of nothing.
Well, that's why I dismissed the 3, and I think it's more likely done with 10s or jacks. Queens are a little bit, like I said, a little bit peculiar in this game for someone not to re-raise with queens, but I definitely don't think the guy has aces, Dave. I really don't. Now, Joe's going to take some time with it. It's 400
and he should.
more.
He should take time with it. I mean, the pot is now
800, about 400 to call. He's getting about 2 to 1.
Getting 2 to 1. You start thinking of the possible hands. You go, okay, this guy could have. And let's start thinking about it. Could he have a 3? Yeah, I suppose he could. Could he have? I mean, sometimes, especially at this level, people get a little scared quickly, and they just want to take the pot down.
It's actually a $1,000 pot, 400 to call.
Okay, it's 2.5
so he's
to
getting
1.
2.5 to 1. I don't think there's any way he folds here.
I mean, you got to put him on. Okay, so let's say there's a chance he has 10s, a chance he has jacks, chance he has queens, chance he has some sort of 9, like ace-9, although I think that's pretty slim. And there's a chance he's a 3. Man, I mean, I think there's probably only about a 20 or 25% chance he has a 3, and since you're getting 2.5 to 1, I think you do have to call.
And I think, like I said, in this game, I think I dismiss aces.
Well, even if you give him aces too, it's just there's too many other hands that you can beat. Even if you say he could have aces, and he could have a 3, but he could also have 10s, jacks, and queens.
And Joe calls. He took some time with it, but
and
obviously it's the right call.
He should take time with it, and Irwin's in bad shape.
You got live cards?
Well, live cards. He's got more than live cards.
He's way ahead here. And this pot is going to be over $1,400.
More like Irwin, do you have live cards? And that normally would have been a scary card, but Irwin turned over his queens.
River's a 5. King is a winner.
And just for our audience, they know Chester wasn't being rude. Joe was not being rude by not turning his cards over. He was actually waiting for Mark to help him out.
Yeah. And Irwin's going to go back in the pocket, of course, in a cash game. You can rebuy at any time.
And the only reason I don't like the raise by Irwin, I don't mind the play by Irwin. I don't mind raising, but raising that much. I mean, actually, Irwin had $400. Actually, Irwin had $525 left, right? Is there a way Irwin could have raised to get information and then thrown away to a re-raise in this game? Or is that a flop that you're just destined to go broke
Well,
on?
he had 550 when Joe bet. So
right.
He had 550 on the flop. So Joe bet 150. Could you make it 325? The problem then, though, is if Joe calls, I almost think now of a player of Joe's caliber that I'm beat with queens.
What if Joe just moves all in? Can you throw it away? Think about it. Now the pot is going to be...
Yeah, I think you can throw it away. I think if you call, you have to shut down. I think if you call, you have to shut down.
Yeah. If you mini raise it up to 325, leaving yourself only 2.25, and then Joe moves all in, the pot is now approximately $1,200, $225 to call. You're getting over 5 to 1 on your money. Is there any way Joe could have jacks or 10s there?
Well, the pot was 250 pre-flop. It was actually 200 pre-flop. Joe bet 150, so 350. You make the call, now it's 500, and now you raise it up, say another 150. So the pot is now 650. You have another 400 left. Remember, he started with 550, Dave.
No, but you re-raised it 150 more, so you only have 250 left.
You started with 550.
You called as 150, then you raised it 150.
So you've got 350 left.
250.
If you started with 550?
Minus 150 and 150.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So leaving yourself with 250.
Yeah.
So now he re-raises all in with his kings. Can you lay down queens there?
It's a tough spot with these stack sizes.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Yeah. My question basically is Irwin destined to go broke on that hand in this game with those stack sizes at this level?
Well, again, I mean, you point out, because there was so much money in dead money pre-flop, the pot, it ballooned to such a point where maybe you can't.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Three-way action here. Jack 3 deuce here, and Joe is on fire.
Yeah, top 2 pair.
And he's going to build himself a little pot. He's going to bet $10. And I don't think that Jerry's going to go anywhere. Let's see what Jerry's going to do.
Really?
Wow, he's gonna raise it up here a little bit with Jack 5.
Are you kidding?
Makes it 30. And Joe, let's see how Joe's gonna play it.
20 more.
It's 20 more. What is he gonna do here? He calls. Let's see if he leads out or goes for the check raise here on the turn.
Depends what kind of card. That's a safe card as far as I'm concerned. You wouldn't put somebody on Jack 6 in the field.
I think you bet out now.
You might put somebody on 4-5, though. Is there any way Jerry could have 4-5 here?
I love the bet here by Joe. He's bet out, and Jerry's going to call, because if you check, Jerry might check behind with a weak Jack or something like that. He bets, and Jerry calls.
Okay.
The river is an 8.
And what, are you going to put a little blockish bet out here, or what? I mean,
Well, the pot's $175. Maybe you throw a $100 value bet out here. And he does. He throws a $100 bet out here.
and if Jerry raises you all and you throw it away, thinking he's got 4-5?
I don't think Jerry raises that flop of 4 or 5. I mean, maybe. I mean, I know it's an open
What do you think the guy had?
He's got Jack 3. I mean, he's got Jack 5 here.
No, I understand, but what do you put him on if you're Joe? You don't put him on Jack 5, obviously.
I think you can put him on a Jack there.
You put him on a Jack. Okay,
Yeah,
well, then
remember that it means it's a 3 to 5 game. I mean, people are making
Or not
moves.
raising with. Okay.
Yeah, they could be, raising with top
With
pair,
Jack
weak,
10.
weak kicker. Yeah.
Jack 10, King Jack, Queen Jack. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Now, the thing is that you actually, if I was in there with Jack 10 and I was in the game, in the big game, and I raised, I might raise there because my hand is so weak, I want to gain information. And if I raise and he calls and he leads into the turn, that is extreme strength and you should fold. Now, where Jerry, he called again. And that's, of course, you're talking about the different levels of play there, obviously.
Well, you got to start thinking. Okay. The board is Jack 3 deuce. Joe leads into it. So what does Joe have? Joe has what? One of maybe 4 hands. Joe's got a set of deuces, a set of 3s, a Jack in his hand, or he's got maybe 4-5. He's got open in the straight draw. Well, then a 6 comes on the turn. You can beat nothing. You can't beat the Jack now. You can't beat a set, and you can't beat 4-5 anymore. I can't believe Jerry actually called the turn.
Jack deuce 6 here with a couple of hearts, and Cheryl's got a flush draw. First hand she's played here, mid-position, she limped in. She's going to bet out.
You gotta like that bet.
See how Kathy's going to do it here. She's going to min raise here with Queen Jack, kind of look at a little information raise, and Cheryl is going to call. And I want to see how this one plays out between the two ladies here on the turn.
It'll be interesting.
Wow, the turn is a Jack, and Cheryl's got a flush, and Kathy's got tripped Jacks. And Kathy checks right behind her. And the river here is a 4. And now Cheryl's going to bet 100. And just a call there by Kathy. And the flush is going to take it down right there. You wonder if Cheryl led on the turn, what Kathy would have done. Obviously, it was a 3rd Jack, but it was the Jack of Hearts. Really interesting turn card there.
Yeah, and an interesting way to play it. I like the way Kathy played it by taking the card. She said, you know what? This girl's either got a Jack, and now that was the case Jack, and we'll see what happens on the river.
Yeah.
Or she's got a flush already, and I'm going to take the free card and keep this pot small.
Yeah.
Now, I really think that Cheryl should have bet right into Kathy.
On the turn.
You make your flush, and it's the top
Yeah.
card,
Yeah.
top card pairing. You now put your opponent on trip Jacks, and you know they can't get away from it. You're going to make them pay for their full house.
Well, Cheryl's going to limp in here with King, Queen offsuit here under the gun. Tough hand to play. We're going to see a raise here by Rich. He's going to make it 25 to go here with 6-7 of diamonds.
Can you beat me with?
No.
You had low ball in that one, didn't you? It's low ball now.
You'll see. I know you're going to.
Can I lay down?
What? 3 players.
3-way action here.
Haven't we played
$35 raise. And Cheryl has called out of position with King, Queen, Dave. And that's, of course, the reason why you don't really want to limp in with that hand under the gun. Because it doesn't play well in multi-way. You're only hoping for a limped pot around, right? Because you really shouldn't be calling a raise with it out of position.
And even if the flop comes out with a queen or a king, you've got to really proceed with caution. And as you move up, you've got to be aware of these things.
Rick is going to make the continuation bet here with 6-7 of diamonds. He is totally missed here, but that premium scare card, he's going to use it, and he's going to take it down.
Why not?
I was representing something else. A bigger player.
Once again, we're live at the bike. I'm David Tuckman here at Bart Hansen. You're watching No Limit Hold'em. The blinds are 5-5 in this game. This is a restricted buying game. You can buy it anywhere from 300 to 500. And we have close to $6,000 on the table right
I
now.
want to go back to that hand between the two ladies there. And again, I think Cheryl could have made herself more money. Because you've got to put Kathy on a range of hands on the button of what she would have with the jack in it. Probably king jack, queen jack, ace jack, jack 10, or jack 9. So I bet again. I don't think she has a full house. She's going to at least call me. And when a blank comes out, I'm going to bet big. And I don't know if Kathy, we haven't seen her, she's the type of player that can lay down trips out there on the river.
Especially, you realize if you bet, say, $90, $100 on the turn,
Yeah.
Kathy probably calls.
Yeah.
Well, now the pot is about $350, $400. Now you can bet $200, $250 on the river and probably get a call out of it.
Instead, Kathy made a savvy check on the turn, and Cheryl only made 100 on the hand, when in actuality she could have made probably 100 on the turn, plus maybe another 200 on the river. And again, these are the types of things that affect your hourly. It's probably 200 on the table that Cheryl left there in that hand.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. Kathy obviously was not shocked when Cheryl turned over the flush. You wonder if she gets away from it if she doesn't fill up. Well, now we're talking about Kathy in seat 9. She's got ace-queen offsuit in kind of middle-ish position. Wonder how you play that hand in middle-ish position. Let's see what she does.
She's probably going to open for a raise here, I would think.
You'd assume so, but you never know.
And she is going to raise.
She's announced it.
$50.
And she makes it 50 to go.
Oh, that's a big raise.
Now, earlier she made it with ace-jack. She made it 25.
I mean, that's like making it 100 to go in the 5-10 game when you only have, like, she's got about 700. Say you've got 1,400 and you open to 100. It's a pretty big race.
That is a
in
big
that
race,
game.
yeah.
Never been on a table? I had pocket queen.
See, in our post here, we see Bibigon saying, with a pot like that, and we're talking about the hand earlier with kings and queens, flop came out 9-3-3. He said, with a pot like that and that many players, I think I'm moving in right away with a 3. And we do see that sometimes. Sometimes at this level, players will even play it a little scared and move in, which is sometimes a smart play because nobody ever thinks you'd move in so quickly with a 3.
And Joe's picked up pocket kings again. He's going to make it 35 to go here with a couple of cowboys.
Has this guy ever lost on this show? He's on fire.
And I got to tell you, I'm not making this call against Joe, but Rick is going to come in here with ace-10 offsuit and a blind.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to call that pretty much against anybody. Ace-10
Yeah.
offsuit, out of position. Luckily for him, he did not catch a 10.
And Joe is going to bet 70. And again, you look at that flop, and I see so many differences between this game and the 500 game. I might commit all my chips, even if I'm fairly deep with kings on that flop, in this game because people think 9s, 10s, and jacks are the nuts on that flop, whereas if you move up, people recognize that it's not.
Well, you've just got to realize that oftentimes in this game, because you're not that deep, the pot is laying you too much. Too many odds, obviously. So lay down hands. When you start getting 3, 4, 4.5 to 1 on your money, you've got to start thinking of the possibilities. What might my opponent have?
Now, Kathy's got queens, and she's going to raise. And she's going to make it 60. And Mark has got ace-king here. She's going to call.
Feel bad for me, take it.
Big raise here, pre-flop.
I feel so bad for you. Really, from my
I
heart.
believe that Kathy has 2 black queens here, I want to say. No, queen
Nope.
of hearts and queen of clubs. So
You
we're
see
heads
that
up. $125 pot. Well, there's the ace.
Now, we talked about the problem with ace-king. How much money are you really going to make with this hand? Would you ever check this?
80.
He's going to bet 80.
And she's going to throw it away. See, I mean, it's real simple.
Yeah.
Now, okay. Now I'm gonna give you a play now. If you recognize Kathy's only mistake in that hand, really the only mistake in that hand was showing her queens. Because if I'm sitting at that table now, mental note, her big raises mean big pocket pairs. Okay, good. Second of all, I also know I can take one off. I can call our raises with a hand as weak as 7-8. Now, if I hit my 7-8, I'm going to get paid because I know she's got queens or kings. And if I hit an ace, I can represent.
Right.
Suddenly there's a lot of hands I can win with. I'm actually not going to call her with ace-king or ace-jack. Not much value there.
Right.
Win that.
Especially when she didn't get involved, obviously, with queens.
Exactly. There's no value there. But if you call her with a hand like 7-8 suited, 6-5 suited, something like that, if you hit a piece of it, a big piece of it, I mean, 2-pair trip, something like that, you can win a big pot and you can always get her off it if a scary card comes off.
Three-way action here. Limped around. Irwin limped in with king, queen.
Where was that flop a minute ago?
In your hand, you had one of those cards in your hand. You can't have two exactly.
Irwin's going to bet out here 15, and he's going to take it down. Email here from, well, guy didn't sign
Anonymous.
it. Said, Bart and Dave, I've watched the show for weeks, love the action. My question is, do stack sizes change opening raises and tourneys? In particular, in the opening round of a deep stack tourney on PokerStars, I've found that a 3 to 4 big blind raise is insufficient even against tight and passive players. What should my raises be if everyone else has, say, 250 times the big blind? And, of course, those are in those deep stack tournaments where you start with 5,000 in chips and the blinds start at like 10, 15 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, if you talk to a lot of the big tournament pros, a lot of them really, they don't give any value whatsoever to big suit, like big hands like ace-king, ace-queen, ace-jack, king-queen, things like that. They think they're garbage.
In the early rounds.
In the early rounds.
Yeah.
Because everybody's so deep.
Yeah.
More often you want to be calling, you want to be looking for big hands. You want to
Right.
be looking for straights. You want to be looking for sets, flushes.
Four-way action here, limped around, 10, 7, 8 with a couple of clubs. Everyone sometimes gets mixed up, and even some of the best pros get mixed up. I remember hearing on the circuit, Mattisau kind of talking some trash about Tuan Lee about how can he go broke in the first two levels of, say, the WPT Championship when they start with 25,000 in chips. Because tournaments are a battle of the blinds and antes when it gets to that point later on. But in the beginning, it's almost somewhat played like a cash game. Raises really don't mean all that much. You don't want to commit all that many chips. And that's why it's kind of crazy for a really aggressive player to try to, raise to 125 to pick up 25 in the big, 15 in the small when we're all $25,000 deep.
Well, that's the whole point. It's an interesting game. Actually, you get 50,000 in chips in that tournament, in the main event at the Bellagio. And even though the blinds are like 5,100, you're not suddenly going to make it like, okay, I'm making it 1,500 to go in the first level. No, you're still going to play poker, but you've got to be aware of what kind of hands you want to win with. What kind of hands you want to be in there with.
Irwin's brought it in here with big slick suited to 45. Jerry's going to smooth call with 8s. And we're heads up here. Wow, what a flop here for Irwin. And he checks it once, and Jerry checks behind him. I actually do not mind the check there on that flop. Turns a deuce.
40.
He checked it again. A $40 bet here by Jerry, and Irwin is just going to call. And the river is the flush card.
And now what do you do from out of position?
He's going to bet out. He's going to bet 100 here.
Yeah, I mean,
Now,
I understand slow playing and everything.
if you're the pre-flop raiser, I'm going to throw something out at you. And you flop, and you bet, and you pick up that flop. I'm still probably going to bet the flop. But the thing is that if I get called once, I think it's almost proper to check the turn out of position there, because I think you have the best hand. There's absolutely nothing you're scared of. And you might be able to represent that you're on a heart draw and still bet the river when you miss because you still have the best hand with ace-king.
I'm going to take a little page out of your book, though. Is there any way your opponent has a heart draw also?
Or take a page out of Jonas's book.
Yeah, or is there any way your opponent has queen 10 there?
Right.
And now in the river, if they've missed, you're not going to make any money. I don't know. When I'm the pre-flop raiser, it's always a little fishy if I raise pre-flop and I don't bet.
Yeah. No.
It really is a little odd sometimes. Now, just to address that last email about what do I do, though, how do I protect my hand, actually, I will take a page out of Jonas's book and Jonas's Riverboat King on 2+2. And he had a great quote, and I said it last night, and I'll say it again. Especially when you're playing a deep, deep stack tournament like that, in the early rounds, don't worry about protecting your hands. Protect your stack.
Jerry raised it with king-queen. Rick called with a pretty speculative king-jack, the raise, and the flop came out ace-high, and Jerry took it down. So it seems like Rick has played it pretty tight, but I have seen him make some pre-flop calls that are, again, somewhat speculative. King-jack offsuit. And Jerry plays it pretty tight, pretty straightforward, so...
Yeah. But Jerry's obviously, his game is definitely, he's elevated his game in the last few months. And like I said, he was winning before the show, so he's feeling good about himself.
Confidence, right?
Yeah, you know what? You always see people playing at their best when they're winning.
Button moves over here to Joe. He's going to call on the button.
4 players.
Four-way action here, limped around. Well, Jerry's playing ace-5 offsuit, Dave, from, like, up front. He's hit the ace, he's going to bet.
Now, this is the kind of play, I talk about this being a negative EV play, because what's going to happen to Jerry's going to win this pot, right? And he's going to think there's value to playing it. And there's no value to playing ace-5 offsuit in kind of up-front position. Because we always talk about a hand like that, you're going to win a small pot or lose a big one. I'm really surprised he even got involved with that hand.
Button moves over here to seat 2. Mark.
Small blind 5, big blind is Cheryl. She's in there at 5. Dan is under the gun. He's first act.
Seen a quiet night so far here for Dan. Now this is interesting. Now, Rick has got ace-jack offsuit in third position. How's he going to play it?
I think at this kind of table, the table's somewhat passive. You've got Kathy behind you, you've got Clint, you've got Joe. I think a raise is in order. I think you can probably buy yourself the button if you make this raise. And he does. He buys himself the button. And he's going to take it down. I don't mind that play at all.
What do you got? Got the winner. $10 more.
The winner over here.
Winner, lots to dinner.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to see another chip count here, Dave.
Wow, another one already. Rock and roll. Almost 6,000 on the table. Joe up to 1,800. Wow. Having a nice day already. Mark up to 800. Kathy up to 735. Let's see how they're doing. Yeah, Joe's up $1,300. Kathy up $235. The rest of the table is pretty much even or down. Rick, Dan are both down over $500. Have already lost a buy-in each.
Oh, my straddle.
Button moves over here to seat number 3.
We had a live straddle here from Jerry. Made it $10 to go now. So it's $40 4 ways. Flop is all hearts here. 9-8 deuce. And looks like 2 players have top pair. Looks like, yeah, actually, seat 8, Clint, has got a queen 9. There it is. And Dan has 7-9. And imagine, yeah, Clint in position is going to bet that now. Is Dan going to get involved with this? He's got 7-9. There's 3 hearts out there. He's got no kicker. And he's got no heart in his hand. And I got to tell you, I'd probably just throw that away. I check and fold 7-9 offsuit there. Maybe once in a while, if it's a really passive table, I'll bet it. But I'm not going to check call with a hand that weak.
And is Clint going to throw another bet in here? He is. Queen 9.
And for me to check and call somebody, I usually have to have a stronger hand to check and call than to actually bet.
Top pair weak kicker on a 3 flush board is garbage when you don't have any high flush of that flop.
And I like the bet here by Clint. He's going to bet the turn, and I'd imagine if Dan calls here, you will probably check the river.
Yeah, Dan is in real bad shape. He could catch a 10 to win. Actually, a 10 is no good because Clint will have a higher strike.
Yeah, he needs a 7 and only a 7. That's not going to do it. He's open-ended now.
This is probably going to go check, and it does.
And I like the check here by Clint. Somebody could say, well, what happens if Dan has ace-9? Well, Dan's already committed about 70% of his stack. He's not going anywhere with ace-9.
Yeah.
You're not going to get a better hand off. And at this point, it's really difficult because what can you beat? You can only beat 10-9 or 9-7.
Right.
And you wouldn't think he's calling you at 9-7.
Button moves here to seat 4, Cheryl.
And generally, at this level, at 3 to 5 level, you'll see more passive play. Well, that's generally, as you play smaller games, you'll see more passive play.
Button moves over here to Cheryl again, seat 4.
Not much of anything out there. Mark's got a suited king, king 6.
Now, it's interesting. Clint, at a passive table, he's limped in with ace-9 of diamonds from up front. Would you do that at a passive table with not much pre-flop raising?
Yeah, you might, because you're going to see a flop really cheap for $5. And if you flop the nuts here, and obviously you can flop the nuts with a suited ace,
right,
you might get paid off huge. That's what happens. in a game like this, oftentimes people play it a little bit too passive pre-flop and then overcommit themselves with second best or third best hands after the flop.
Just started Sunday. We're all trying to figure out it's 15 consecutive hours from 12 to 1.
Monday through Friday, right?
And then Saturday we played Friday's game. Sunday,
Now he had a bet by Clint with a diamond draw here on the turn.
And Mark is just raising him with nothing.
Mark is raising him with nothing here, maybe trying to represent the 10. Do you buy? I don't know. Was there anybody behind Mark?
No,
Between
there
him
was
and the
not.
button? Do you buy him checking the 10 on the flop? Like if he had 9, 10, or 8, 10, would he bet?
And 8-9, I mean, he could have flopped straight.
Yes.
I mean, he checked the set before. You know, like I said, when you're playing at this level, sometimes you see some more unorthodox play. It's sometimes tough to put somebody on a hand. I think if you're Clint, though, you can call this because you've got a gut shot with the flush draw, and he's not going to even call. He just throws it away, 3 of hearts on the river, and Mark earned himself a pot. Now, that's the second time Mark has raised Clint out. You wonder if he's if Mark is setting up something later, or if maybe Clint is going to fire back at one of these points.
Oh, you're slumming over here, eh? So you had me slumming with us.
I didn't mean to hold you down.
Yeah, listen, don't let us
He
keep
asked
you
me
here.
if I shot all the time.
Button moves over to seat number 6. That's Jerry. Kathy's going to limp in here with, let's see what she's got. She's got ace 10 offsuit. Not a hand I like to limp in with an early position. But once again, this is a passive table. And she's actually, well, no, Jerry's actually called in the button with an ace 9. Cheryl is not in there with ace 4.
So Kathy did limp in here with ace 10 from
Did.
up front. Little bet out here by Rick with middle
Nothing.
pair
Yeah, second pair.
in the blind. That's going to get it done.
Take it down.
Button moves over here to Jerry in seat 6. Again, we're playing 3 to 5. No limit hold'em.
So I'm telling you, man, I'm so psyched. Tomorrow morning, it's on. The
you
World
going to
Cup
the pub
is
tomorrow
on.
morning?
Oh, first thing in the morning,
You just
9
going by
a.m.
yourself, or you're dragging your wife along with you?
No, we're going to go together. Go grab ourselves a pitcher of beer. And a couple of, get some bangers and mash in the morning, or some bubble and squeak. Get sloppy
What is
drunk.
bubble and
And
squeak again, exactly?
it's like, it's kind of like leftover food, but it's like mashed potatoes
Sounds
and
great.
well, it's like Brussels sprouts and mashed potatoes mixed together with eggs and
That's great.
hollandaise. It's so good. It's so good. I know it sounds nasty, but it's really good.
You are a fan of English food. Not many people are, right?
Well, I have the exception. My wife is actually one of the few great cooks that have come out of England.
Straddled pot here by Kathy. And again, if you see people straddling in this game in a full ring game, they really need to be raising out of the straddle spot at least 20, 25% of the time. Otherwise, there's no point.
Especially in this game.
Yeah.
I got to be telling you, I might be raising out of the straddle 40% of the time if I get enough callers.
Mark is going to bet 45 here with ace 9.
He also has the ace of clubs in his hand. Gives him a little bit of more information. He knows nobody can call him with the nut flush draw.
I'm trying to give you one eyebrow, but I can't do it.
Jerry's got nothing.
I'm not front. Close to the village.
Come on, Jerry, move along. Let's go.
On Queenspoint,
Really? How long you been out here?
22 years.
So you're almost local.
I don't even know if it's Jerry's turn right now. I mean, if he
It
knows
is.
if it's his turn. Okay, he's going to fold.
Oh, okay.
Rick is going to fold there with the ace 8. And again, I mean, you can notice the difference. I mean, Rick led out, limped pot with Jack 7 a couple of hands ago. But this board, I don't mind the check fold with ace 8 because you're going to bet and you might get callers on all kinds of draws. You have no idea where you're at.
Exactly. That's the problem. If you bet this and you get called, are you behind? Does the guy have 10 jack? Does the guy have clubs? Who knows? I agree with
You
you.
almost can't put any more money in the pot unless an ace or another 8 comes out.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. That's the whole point. Yeah, there's only about 4 or 5 dishes I like English food. I like, fish and chips, obviously, traditional. I like the bangers and mash.
Kidney pie, shepherd's pie.
Yeah, I'm not a big shepherd's pie fan. I'm really
What
not.
an English breakfast with blood sausage,
Yeah,
mushrooms.
yeah. I mean, that's almost like the bangers and mash in a weird way.
Well, not really. But
Well, the sausage.
no, blood. Sausage, not sausage.
Oh, no,
Blood.
I don't want that.
Blood.
That I'm not interested in.
That is genuine English.
No, and
English
I don't
breakfast.
like,
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think fish and chips. I like those three, and I like Plowman's as well.
Ah,
I got Plowman's lunch.
$25 raise here by Jerry.
Get these specs on here, baby. All right, Mark, you and me.
Three-way action here.
You're blind?
King 8 deuce here. Now Jerry was the pre-flop raiser. It's missed everyone. Any continuation of that here?
To the razor, to the razor. Please to the razor.
And you can always tell, it's funny, you can always tell when somebody's winning or not. You can see the way Jerry's kind of smiling there, he's having fun, he's talking to everybody, he's joking around. You can tell that he's probably winning today.
You got less than the pot?
He bet 60,
You have a hand. I gotta go.
and he's going to take it down. Now Plowman's is like a piece of bread, a hunk of meat, and a hunk of cheese, right?
Actually, everywhere I've ever had it, it's always just been bread and cheese. Tons of cheese, no meat.
Yeah, when I had it in England, you know, they would give you a hunk of meat as well.
Oh, the hunk of meat as well, yeah. When every
like a
time
hunk of ham or something.
Yeah. I've had it in a few pubs, obviously, in England, and every time I've had it, it was always just, I mean, an enormous amount of cheese and just a big thing of bread. You're going, well, okay, sounds good. I mean, everything tastes good when you wash it down with Guinness.
Quads here. You guys can do the aces fully, so we got the quads happening.
Butt moves down to seat 8.
I'm still plugging. Anybody ever work? If anybody listens to the show works for Guinness, sponsorship. Think sponsorship.
Rick is going to raise it up here with King Queen offsuit. Looking forward to that Germany. I think it's Germany-Estonia opening game tomorrow morning. I'm going to TiVo it, of course.
You ever raised the 50?
It's at 9 in the morning. You're not going to be up?
Dave, I wake up at the crack of noon.
It's funny. I'll actually be up at 8 in the morning tomorrow.
Rick is going to take it down.
Be at the pub by 8:45. Make sure I get myself a good
You should
dinner.
go to a German pub, actually, tomorrow if you ever find one. That would be a lot of fun.
Oh, by the way, it's the Fox and Hound.
Nothing here, but just early today.
In Burbank?
No, the one in Studio City on Ventura.
Oh, yeah,
Fox and
I've
Hound.
been there before. I've
Yeah,
been there before.
that's the one I was talking about.
Play without giving them back. That's the problem. Someday I'll learn that part.
I think you're missing out by not going to the, at least one of the times, the Cock and Bull in Santa Monica.
It's just too far. I'm not going to drive all the way down there. Santa Monica?
Could do worse than Joe.
Oh, yeah, I'm going
Moves
to go to
over here.
Venice.
Yeah, from Burbank. Button moves over here to Kathy on the butt in seat 9.
I'm the button.
She's got 7. She's probably going to bring this one in for a little raise, I'd imagine.
I had looked at it.
That was funny. She goes, you guys chop? Oh, wait, I'm on the button. I'm going to raise.
Oh, I should crack you with that.
She's going to take it down. We're not going to see a flop here.
Play poker, always play poker.
Germany and Croatia, excuse me. Oh, excuse me, Costa Rica.
Oh, I'm all over Costa Rica. I love Costa Rica.
Well, I got to tell you, I mean, not to be a homer, but I will be rooting for Costa Rica because they are from CONCACAF.
Okay.
CONCACAF, I think, is really doesn't have the respect that is deserved. I think UEFA just kind of looks down at
there we
like
are. Look.
American, Mexican, Costa Rican crap. I think that's how they look at it. So
Right,
I would
right.
love to see Costa Rica win.
I have
I'm actually going to root for Costa Rica for a completely different reason. I've been there. It's a fabulous country. When I went there,
this
they
would be the biggest thing that's almost ever happened in that country if they were to beat Germany. In the
It's
opening round.
wonderful. You know what? Everybody that lives there is going to be glued to the
Yeah.
TV tomorrow morning.
I haven't seen too much football.
Raise here by Jerry with 9-10 suited, and Rick here, again, we talk about it in this game. He's got the best hand. He's re-raising to 100 with jacks. And obviously, in this case, it's the right play, but this is not an automatic re-raise against the tight player's raise, right?
No, if Jerry moves all in now. What do you do with jacks? We always talk about that. Jacks obviously are vulnerable. But, I mean, I'd rather be playing aggressive. I'd rather lose playing aggressive than lose playing passively. It's always the way I'll think. Now, Costa Rica. I am a big believer in vacation. I'm a big believer in traveling the world. Costa Rica, I went there, I want to say a year and a half ago. And it was phenomenal. It was absolutely phenomenal. I didn't go to the casinos at all. I had no interest in that whatsoever. Obviously, we work at a casino. I don't need to go somewhere else to go to a casino. But it was so great. I actually made friends with a couple of locals who took my wife and I in, and we had dinner with their family.
You know,
And
I
that
have
was
just funny story.
Oh, love it.
My mother's brother, who lives in Maine, up in Augusta, Maine.
So your uncle.
Yeah, my uncle. They did an exchange student. They did like an exchange thing with a girl from Costa Rica, and they became really good friends. And they've gone down to Costa Rica 6 or 7 times, and that family's come up to Maine. Talk about two worlds of difference.
Oh, man.
I mean, I don't know if Maine is a good representation of what America is, but that's a big difference.
Yeah.
Costa Rica and Maine. Of course, those people had never seen snow before, really.
Right.
He said it wouldn't be you, and I said, oh no, it wouldn't be you.
Well, you know, a little fact about Costa Rica. You know, the Quakers actually went down there and settled down there.
Did they really?
Yeah, they wanted to avoid the war. I believe it was in the 50s during the Korean War.
You know, avoid getting drafted, you mean?
Mhm.
Yeah. So there are actually some Americans down there, a couple generations old.
Quake, yeah, a lot of. We actually, my wife and I got remarried down there. We redid our vows, Quaker style. The oldest Quaker in the town married us.
Clint's going to raise here with 8-6 offsuit. Button's going to call with King Jack of Diamonds.
Hold on.
Cheryl's going to call here from up front with 8-9 of hearts.
Watch this hand.
So here we go, three-way action.
Well, she's flop top pair. Is she going to bet right into it? If
She
she
is.
is, I like this bet. I really do.
And I think
kind
this
of,
is probably an easy fold here for Clint.
yeah, I agree. I really like the bet though. Cheryl is betting this. Then she'd also bet pocket 10. She'd also bet pocket 9s here.
And if she's a loyal watcher of the show, she would bet a set here as well.
And she'd bet 10-9, she'd bet spades. But by betting there, you get a lot of information, and she's going to take it down, and her tight image is paid off here. Everybody just gets rid of it.
All right. Now, listen, we played for an hour, so now the governors are off. Then we play poker. Okay? No more crap.
The governor's on the phone?
Butt moves here to C3.
Absolutely.
Got an email here from Cheryl's daughter.
Jordan.
Oh, Cheryl's daughter, Jordan,
Yeah.
saying that we should get the bluffing shoes out and the wacky glasses. Give them to Cheryl. I don't know if we should wear them. If we can give this to Cheryl. She can wear them.
There we go. There you go, just for you. Ace king here for Mark. Clint's got the queen 10. Clint's not going to play, though. Mark's probably going to raise here. He's in the cutoff seat.
Well, no one's come in front. He's going to raise.
Yeah, he makes it 25.
Irwin easily gets away from ace rag here.
Cheryl's not going to call the suited queen.
Yep.
And we're going to move on. Button moves over, slides over to seat number 5.
I mean, these are really a staple of Live the Bike now, these bluffing shoes.
They are.
They're always going to be in the picture, right?
We might have to staple them onto something because they keep
Yeah,
falling.
they keep flying out there loose.
But very cool, obviously. Cheryl made these for us. Bluffing shoes.
Okay, listen. Any jackpot, will everyone give me $30? I mean, only 30. All right, my man.
Tracy, why do you have to tempt us so much? Huh? Oh, we missed it. We missed it. You can do that again. What did you say?
Button's in seat 4.
I think it's going to be like 3 players. Maybe
Once again, we're live to bike here. Apparently, Tracy came into the booth, and Bart is not paying attention to the poker game at all right now. Who bought us beer? Apparently, Cheryl has bought us beer. That's very sweet of her. Unfortunately, we can't drink it now. But we do appreciate it. Thank you very much, Cheryl.
9-6-6 here on the flop.
9 on the turn, yep. And if you're Dan, you put a little money in there. Now, there is a couple of hands in there. There we go. And Dan is the best hand here right now. And Dan is called. And I got to tell you, with the ace there, you probably just check now. If Rick wants to bluff into you, he can. And Dan is going to take it down with the ace there. 2 pair, 9s and 6s with an ace kicker. Apparently, Bart is laughing hysterically. What did I miss?
I don't know. Am I blushing now? I'm phased.
Yeah.
Right now.
That was an interesting moment there.
Yeah.
That was very interesting. I'm not
Did
even
you see that?
Yeah,
yeah.
I see it. It was right in my face. What do you mean that I see it? How could I not see it? Wow.
She's getting naughty with me, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woo.
Jeez. Like I said, I don't know. I mean, I'm a professional. I'm a little rattled. I don't know if I can go on with the show.
Button moves over to seat number 5.
I can have half your action.
Actually, wait, where is the button? This is a little
It
confusing.
is in seat 5.
Oh, I see. Okay. I could have sworn the button was in seat 5 last time. Okay. Missed that up. Straddle pop by Kathy again, but once again, is she ever going to raise out of the straddle?
No.
If you're never going to raise out of the straddle, all you're pretty much doing is putting more money in the pot out of position.
Well, Cheryl's going to raise with ace-king. She's going to make it 40.
And I like it. She's adjusted her raise. She's made it a little bit bigger because of the straddle pot. Now, I'm a big believer in, I love playing shorthanded. Anybody that knows me knows I love to play four-handed, five-handed, even three-handed. And if I'm ever playing three-handed or four-handed, I am going to straddle every single time I can. But one of the reasons I'm straddling there is obviously if you're straddling three-handed, you're straddling on the button.
The ends of the set here, but Cheryl does not have an overpair. So she's going to make the continuation bet, and I think there's just one move for Dan. And I think Cheryl's probably going to have to call.
Yeah,
I mean, she's pretty much put him all in here.
And unfortunately, she's almost drawing dead. I mean, she needs running clubs or running straight cards.
Now, how much more is it here? Looks like it's another 50? 35 more, yeah. She's 30. Call.
Yeah, and she calls. And there's nothing Cheryl could do here. That's just the nature of the beast in this game.
Yep, running Broadway straight, running clubs.
Yeah, Cheryl knew. She goes, I know I'm behind, but what am I going to do with $35 more? And she's drawing
turns
dead
an
now.
8, and that's it. Now, what we need to look at with that hand, though, that is a big EV mistake by Dan to call that raise with pocket fours, unless he was going to play it as a move in on a ragged flop, putting Cheryl on ace-king anyways, because he was not deep enough to make a call with a pocket pair. As you can see, he made basically $100 on, I think it was a $35 raise with pocket
raise.
fours.
Yeah, $40 raise there. So
yeah.
Clearly, obviously, not the right play. Nothing Cheryl could do. Sometimes people go, well, what am I supposed to do there with ace-king? Not bet it? No, of course you're supposed to bet it. And if somebody actually commits there, there's really nothing you can do.
Can somebody put these in the fridge for us?
I can do it.
Okay. Did you see that, Ronnie? No, you guys didn't see it. Tuckman's the only one that saw it. Yeah.
See,
I don't even know if he can appreciate it now he's been married for so long.
Everybody in the booth was actually, doing work.
Oh, excuse me.
Where did he go?
Oops.
Real quiet.
Sorry, Ray. Yeah, I know you have more important things to do than flirt with cocktail waitress. Maybe we can get a B-roll. We can put it up on the website. Sometimes what comes through that camera out on the floor.
I think we already have a B-roll every time we're doing commentary. Got a raise here out of...
$35 raise here.
Yeah, Rick kind of stealing there. And he can take it down.
Sometimes if it's a slow game, I just head over and look over Isaac's head at the monitor, see what Ray's filming out there. Butt moves over here to seat 8.
Whew. Wow. Okay.
Big blind here for Joe.
And you completely lost your frame of mind, right? You had no idea where you were.
Look at my face. Irwin's got pocket kings. He's going to make it 40 to go.
Now, what is going to happen here is Clint going to overplay jacks. Well, Clint's just going to call. And is he going to go broke on a rag board? If the board comes out 9 high, is he going to be in trouble? This is heads up now. Kings versus jacks again. And there's a queen. You wonder if that'll save it. Now, Irwin's going to slow play it a little bit.
Yeah, he checked, and Clint's going to bet.
And you know what? In this game, when Clint's only at $300, that's not a bad play. It's really not. Now, I hate to play in a bigger game, but in this game, it's not that bad a play.
And he's going to check raise all in.
Yeah, and he gets Clint to commit, and
Now, Clint, there is an overcard there, which might get him away from it.
I got to tell you, at this point here, with jacks, I've got to think my opponent has at least a queen or better. And maybe I'm getting 3 or 4 to 1. I can't call this, though, because I'm only getting 2 outs. And you look, obviously, 90% to 10%.
I think he's getting probably about 2 to 1.
Yeah, but even if you're getting 4 to 1, I would throw that away because you know your jacks can't be good. Gentleman's not going to check raise you there with a jack 10, is he? After raising pre-flop.
Email here from Aaron Hoffman, assistant professor of political science. I was actually political science minor. He says, first time email, Rick re-raced with jacks. You objected. What should he have done and why?
Well, you see this point here exactly. We have a perfect situation here
great
where
situation right now.
Clint has jacks. Now, if Clint re-raises pre-flop with jacks, it's not necessarily a bad thing to re-raise with jacks. You just got to be aware that if he re-raises with jacks there, he is isolating himself against a better hand. Well, Irwin, there's nothing to stop Irwin from just smooth calling. And then Clint in this case, or Rick last time, he pot commits himself with what is the worst hand. And you just got to realize that jacks can be vulnerable.
And look at this. Kathy is going to raise here. We can't see her hand. We know Joe's got pocket queens.
Now, wait a second. What was the raise?
Kathy has raised it to 45.
So you probably put her on big Broadway cards and not a big pair, right?
Well,
okay. She's got sixes.
And Joe is going to re-raise here, I believe, to 100. Is that right, or did he just call? No, he just called. So Joe is going to smooth call here with queens, maybe see a flop, see what's going to happen. And Mark here, I don't know what he's doing from up front here with the ace-3 of clubs.
Yeah, his play always kind of confuses me.
$140 pot here, jack 7-8. Now Joe's got the queen of diamonds. He's got an overpair with the second nut flush draw.
It's a pretty good flop for him. It's not great, but it's not bad.
And let's see, how is he going to play it? How would you play queens with the queen of diamonds here? He checks.
I'd probably bet.
And she's going to check. It gets checked around.
Okay.
Turns at 10. Now anyone with a 9 would have a straight.
Yeah, it's getting scarier and scarier here. And is Joe going to try to keep this pot as small as possible, it looks like.
Well, he's going to bet 100. You know, I'll throw something out at you. Would you ever check raise the flop with queens? And I think I can answer my own question. I'm just asking you. Queens with
not
queen
in
diamonds.
that case. No, I would not.
Because you're pretty much, if she is going to call you, she has you beat, and you're just going for the second nut flush. Obviously, you can't beat jacks, kings, or aces there, right?
Yeah, it's just one of those spots where do I really want to commit that much? I don't want to make that pot too big.
Yeah.
You know? Now, just to finish up that email, I want to thank Aaron for emailing us. Obviously, we do our show Monday through Friday from 7 to 10 Pacific time. You can always email us. We like it. You just got to realize that as you play, the bigger the game you play in and the more chips you have behind you, the more vulnerable pocket jacks are. The odds are you're not going to have a set, and the odds are your jacks are going to have to stand up on their own. Well, how often do just one pair of jacks win a big pot? Not that often. So you got to realize how vulnerable jacks can be. I'm not saying you shouldn't re-raise them. Just be aware.
Seems like we've had a lot of real-life situations after we just talk about a topic or we just have an email. It's kind of been flowing that way the last couple of weeks. Looks like
Jupiter must be in Uranus.
Mark made a little $15 raise here out of the, I think it's out of the small blind with the ace-9 of clubs. Joe calls. And so does Dan. Well, Joe's open-ended here, 7-6-6. Now, Mark with that little $15 raise, we've seen him do it so much. I don't really put him on an overpair here. I think he would have raised more.
I don't buy it either.
He's gonna bet 35, and if you're Joe, do you just raise it up right now as the semi-bluff?
You might raise it up right here. And look, he looks a little confused, trying to figure out what to do. Do I just call?
He's gonna call. He might bet when check to on the turn. That's another way you might play this. Turns a queen. Well, that's something that you might represent now as well.
Well, that's a scary card. If you think Mark maybe raised it with king, queen.
All right, check.
And takes the card. And Joe's got the heart.
And the river is a jack. And if Joe doesn't bet here, Mark's going to win it with ace high. And Mark might think he needs to bluff. Well, he checks. Joe's trying to figure out what he could get Mark off of.
Well, I remember almost every draw has gotten there. I mean, 8-9 obviously did not get there, but the hearts did get there.
He's going to bet 100. And Mark has a bluff catcher only.
Now, would Joe play would Joe play hearts this way? Maybe. I don't know. It's difficult.
Mark's trying to get away from him.
Always tough to call with just ace high.
Yep.
Now, if you're new to the show, you should check out our website. Go to liveatthebike.com, spelled out. On the left-hand side, we got all sorts of cool stuff. We've got our bios, obviously, tell you a little bit about us. There are links in those bios, obviously, where you can go to. Bart had a great interview at the Rounders poker radio show out of Vancouver. And then Bart and I were also on the Circuit, cardplayer.com show with Scott Huff.
Couple of ladies for the lady over there, Cheryl in seat 4. So let's see what how she's going to play the queens.
Well, there's a little kind of a nothing raise here again by Mark, 10-8. And you ever just call with the queens? Nah, she's going to re-raise it right away. She goes, you know what, that's a crap raise. I'm going to make it a real raise. You want to call me, you got to call. And depending on how much she raises, Mark can call. How much more is it?
60 more. I don't know, though. She doesn't have that much in front of her.
60 more I can't call.
Yeah.
If she made it 30 more, I can call with 10-8 suited.
Mark's going to call, but remember, she only has 300.
Yeah, pot's now 150.
Yeah.
And is he going to go broke on this?
8-4-7 here. She's going to bet out. She actually has 400. She has a $100 chip. She's got 450 before that bet. Now she bets 100. And now the pot is 250, 100 to call. She's got another 350 left.
You know, it's funny. Mark always asks us. He says, what did I do wrong? What did I do right? Well, calling a raise with 10-8 suited, a big raise like that, just isn't profitable.
Now, actually, she doesn't have a $100 chip. She's got 250 in front. And I want to bring up a situation here. Obviously, it doesn't really apply to this situation. He's going to call here.
2 hearts out there. I mean, this is just this is terrible.
Well, could he represent a higher overpair? That's what I was going to bring up. The turn is a jack now.
He can't represent anything. She's not going away with queens.
She's going to push. She's going to move all in here for another, let's call it 225, into a pot.
When's he going to represent it?
Right. Well, yeah, not now. Into a pot that's about 400. So it's about a $600 or $700 pot, 225 to call.
Yeah, and he puts himself in these spots where he goes, oh, man, the pot's so big now. It's only 225 to call. Should I call?
Well, that's exactly the point of what you brought up in the video blog today, which we'll see tomorrow morning.
God, I just don't understand what he's doing. I mean, if you're going to raise it a real amount and try to take down the pot. If you're not going to, you know what I mean? That's fine. He's trying to steal the blinds. No big deal in that. But then you get re-raised to $60 by a pretty tight, solid player in the blinds. And she only has 350 left.
If we were playing at a regular table where I wouldn't see your cards, I would call you to something.
And he's saying he'd call it a regular table, but since I'm seeing the cards, maybe I won't. I mean, I don't understand. Oh, and look at him. He's trying to get a reaction from her. Let's see what the reaction she's given.
He asked, is this good? And she said, what do you think?
Well, look at that. Now, I always try to say a forced smile sometimes gives it away. I got to tell you, she has a sweet smile, and it's hardly forced. Looks very genuine to me.
Putt moves over here to C3. Well, the point I was going to make with that hand, Dave, was if you're deep and you re-raise with queens out of the blind and a guy smooth calls you, that's what we talked about more in a deeper game, that he could have aces or kings. And now when you bet out on a ragged board and he now raises you, you've got to start to think of what you can beat. Funny thing is, if you also continue on, a jack is another card that you now can't beat that comes on the turn.
I mean, obviously, but in this game here, when you're not...
I understand, yeah.
She's going to go to felt with queens.
Right.
If the guy's got kings, hey, man, God bless you.
Right.
Well played.
Again, sometimes because, we move back and forth from this game to the bigger games. I mean, the strategy in this game is different. But, I think the viewers should, try to interlace what we talk about.
Well, the strategy is the same. It's just a matter of how deep you are.
Right.
If you're short stacked in the deeper game, it's the same difference there.
Well, and again, though, players aren't going to be making those types of advanced moves probably at this level. It's almost more straightforward.
Right. Irwin with the best hand here. He's got 2 pair. If it gets checked to Irwin, I'd probably bet it. But he's not going to. And now he lets Kathy get there. And you imagine Kathy's going to put a little bet in there, and she does. She bets $30. And that should be enough to take it down.
Yep.
So you got to, if you're Irwin there, you got to use your position. Good chance neither one of your opponents has a 4. And if the jack didn't hit him, then you have the best hand. Got an email here from Mike Minihouse. He says, hey, would you either mind telling us what happened in the booth or not talk about it for 15 minutes? And I'm going to let Bart if he wants to.
Moving along, buttons in C4. Big blind is in Jerry's hand in seat 6. So Kathy has played it pretty well so far tonight. Again, it's the first time we've seen her on the show.
Yeah, so far I really like her game.
Five-way action here. Queen 4-3 here with a couple of spades.
Yeah, Irwin's got the spade draw. Irwin's not in the hand, sorry.
He pot. He check. He fold.
And we got a bet out here by Mark,
He fold.
or excuse me, by Joe.
Get down, down.
$20. I guess we never saw his cards there. Oh, he's got 3-5, so he's got bottom pair. He's going to take it down. 5-3 of diamonds. This game has kind of slowed down a little bit here, Dave. We're about halfway through the show.
Another hand butchered by Ronnie. Well done there, buddy.
Button moves over here in C5. Tomorrow we're going to be doing 10-20 no limit.
Right.
$1,000 min buy-in. Similar to kind of Wednesday's game. A little bit smaller, Dave, but sometimes it plays just as big.
Yeah, it should be a big game. I mean, probably somewhere upwards of $40,000, $50,000 on the table.
You know, when you talk about the difference between a 10-20 no limit and a 20-40 no limit game, it really is the table makeup and the stack size as opposed to the blind size that actually might define the size of that game, who's in the game as well, right?
Of course, definitely. And obviously, when we start talking about different plays, you've really got to be aware of what your stack size is and what your opponent's stack size is. There are some times where you are so short, there's really nothing you can do but go broke with big second-best hands. But as you get deeper, you've got to be able to get away from those big second-best hands.
How many home games do you want when you have on the internet? These guys are on the internet. I hate the internet.
Rick is raised here as Jerry folds and says, I hate the internet.
Right. Whoever that tournaments you can see, but not just playing a game. It's too boring.
And I think he's talking about playing on the internet,
Playing poker
Okay.
on the internet, yeah. I'm sure he doesn't have a hate for the internet, but just playing on the internet.
It's hard to just hate the internet in general.
Yeah,
Although
right.
I think my wife hates the internet.
Does she really?
I think she hates the time it takes me away from her.
Do you think it's collusion?
I try to explain to her that's my job,
Just
but
cell phone each other what they have?
You know.
There's gotta be. There's gotta be.
you know how it goes sometimes.
Gotta have.
2 roommates in the same room?
How about one guy with nine ports?
But they have your IP addresses or be in the same whatever.
Actually, they need IP.
Interesting email here by Anthony Lasardo. Get to it in a second. He said he was playing 5-10. Well, we'll get to it in a second here because we've got ace-king here. Joe's really getting hit in the face with the deck. He's going to raise it up.
I mean, he's also picking up pots. I mean, you saw him pick up pot with 3-5 last time, bottom pair.
He
He
makes
said,
it,
nobody else wants it, I'll take it.
makes it 35 to go, and Dan is going to call here with a dominated king 10 of hearts.
Bad, huh?
Now, Jerry, he's got 7-4 spades. He could make this call if he was really deep, but he only has about 250.
Yeah, now Joe is deep enough for him to make the call, but he's
Not
deep
deep enough for him to make the call.
Exactly.
Uh-oh, and is Dan going to get in trouble here? King, deuce, jack. We always talk about it.
Yeah. And I imagine that Joe's going to bet right away, and he does. He bets 100, and yeah, he
Dan
bets
moves
100.
in.
Dan moves in, and there's no way Joe's going to go anywhere. There really isn't.
No.
Although you don't love the flop if you're ace-king here, do you? What might you be called by?
Right.
The only hand you can beat right now is really king-queen.
King, queen, or
you think.
king 10.
You wouldn't think somebody would make this move with king-10, right? So you probably think, I hope you have king-queen.
Yeah, but you know, at the same time, you got to look at it. Maybe even if you call with king 9 suited, with his stack size, he's just going to push its top pair here.
Definitely. And obviously one mistake gets another one. Dan calling a raise with no money with
Joe
a hand.
makes the easy call.
Yeah.
He's way out in front here.
And people just giving him money here.
Turn is an 8. Dan needs a 10 and a 10 only to win. And the river is a jack, and ace-king is going to play there,
Yep.
obviously.
It's your best 5 cards here.
And Joe is cleaning up. You can see those whitish-pink $100 chips over there.
Maybe I should play this game.
I
love the 5-10 game. I got to tell you, though, it just seems like it's easy pickings.
I mean, I had a dose of bad table selection today. I told you my image wasn't that good. I wasn't playing all that well. And you saw the game I was in. It was terrible for the most part when you first got here.
Right.
It was almost worth it for me to pop out and try to hit back in the must-move game and move over to 3 to 5.
Well, 3-5 game, you see Joe here. If you play it well, obviously, you're not going to make as much as a 5-10 game in the long run. But sometimes the way the game is made up and the players that are in it, it's almost like easy money. I mean, I would find it very difficult to lose money in this game. Wouldn't you?
Well, I think the plays are so predictable somewhat in terms of when somebody bets, like on the river that we talk about, to know that you're beat. The interpretation of strength on the turn. We always talked about it's almost like when we do the 8-16 game sometimes here. When somebody raises you on a later street, one pair is very, very rarely good.
Right. I mean, the only time I feel like you could lose money in this game, and maybe I think too highly of myself. I'm just wondering.
You're not the only one.
No, but I'm looking at this game though, and I'm thinking of it. I'm going. The only time I think you'd lose a lot of money in this game is where you're making a continuation bet with Ace King. Somebody moves all in. It's like for $20 more.
And you're forced to call. With
and you're
two
forced
overs.
to call because you have exactly because you're pot committed.
King, Queen here on the flop. Mark's going to lead out here with Queen 5 of hearts.
And maybe I'm simplifying the whole thing. I don't know.
I was going to bet 40. Your normal bet.
But again, I mean, even from what we've seen here today, usually a raise on the flop means like a raise with top pair, not necessarily a big hand. You know, a raise later on in the hand definitely means more strength than just one pair.
Right. I mean, you saw Irwin, obviously. Irwin, he slow plays the Ace King of hearts, but with pocket queens, he plays it fast and hard.
Email here from Mike Sullivan saying, "Hey, Bart and Dave, loved the show last night. You guys said Mike won 8 to 10 grand last night, but it looked like he was losing all the big pots. Does he really pick up that much dead money?" I don't know if he was losing the big pots. I mean, you remember he won that pot against Mo.
Hey, he lost a couple of big pots, but he also won a few big pots, and he picks up an awful lot of dead money. He really does.
Dan? Will Dan lose? I don't think he lose.
And according to Mo, he said he finished live at the bike up 10K, went over the other table and lost about 2, so he finished up the night about 8,000.
I'm sure he doesn't change his stripes there.
Yeah, no.
He's very loose.
New player coming in to seat 5 here in the second, Dave. It's going to be Michael.
King, Jack, blank.
Button moves over here to seat 8.
He called the raise with a King 10,
He's very
and then he pushes after the bet.
8-6 deuce here with a couple diamonds. Cheryl's got a diamond draw over there in seat 4 with Jack 9 of diamonds.
Oh, she didn't bet it. I'm really surprised.
She's going to get checked over to Jerry, and he's going to bet with Ace 8 off suit here.
He's got top pair, top kicker. I'm really surprised Cheryl did not bet that.
Now I want to turn this hand around a little bit because I
ahead.
actually got involved somewhat in a hand today in the game with Ace 10. If Cheryl bets there and you have Ace 8 suited, and Cheryl just folds. I mean, it is somewhat of a dry flush draw. I mean, she's got overcards.
What do you mean it's a dry flush?
Yeah,
she's got overcards. Plus, she's got like backdoor straight possibilities. I mean, I'm shocked she threw that away so quickly.
Donate 300.
What flop are you looking for with Jack
Right.
9 of diamonds?
Right, you're right. It was overcards. What I was going to say was, if Cheryl bets there, and you have Ace 8, so you played a suited Ace 8 there, would you raise it up a little bit on the flop? Do 6-8? How would you play that?
It might not hit you tonight, but tomorrow morning when you wake up and get a nice soft
I mean, I actually played an Ace 10 in that manner today, and I got mixed up. I built a pot up, and I ended up having to call on the river because I thought I had pot odds with one pair, and it killed me.
Yeah, I might actually raise right there on the flop. I
Yeah.
might wait till a turn to raise. The good chance I'll probably raise it right there, see how she reacts to it.
Yeah.
And if she calls me, if a safe card comes on the turn, I probably bet again, and then I take a free showdown.
Right.
Unless I put her on an 8, and then I try to value bet. Obviously, I've
Right.
got to think of what she might have. Because the board is somewhat connected, she could have a straight draw or flush draw. I'm probably not going to give her a free card, though.
Limped around here 5 ways. Ace, Queen, 9, Rainbow on the flop. Jerry's going to bet out here with 7-4 off suit.
30.
Cost 20.
Going to bet 30. He's going to take it down here.
Ace 4 is good.
Isn't it great when you guess here and then you watch later and you see how close and how far off we
Button's
are?
in seat number 1.
That hand, total blow.
Cheryl on seat 4 is Under the Gun. She's first to act. Now, I was talking about the website. You can also check it out. There's my blog, Under the Gun with David Tuckman. And I actually started that blog last year during the World Series. So it goes back pretty far. You can check it out. Irwin's got Ace King of Diamonds in seat number 3 in the big blind. Let's see how he plays it. And Kathy's got Ace 10 in the cutoff. Now, if I'm going to play that hand, I'm going to raise it. I'm not going to limp in a cutoff seat with Ace 10, that's for sure. And she decides to put in a little bump up. What does she raise it up to?
Reservoir Dogs. What
So she's made it 25, and you notice that she made it 60 with queens and 25 with Ace 10. And wow, and what a flop for Irwin. And you wonder, is Kathy going to get involved? Oh, wow. And you know what?
Last time you gave me a pot, taking them all away from me.
And the pot is now quickly $100. And I got to tell you, if you're Irwin, see, that card actually is going to kill your action. And it check there. And now Irwin's going to bet the river. Surprise, surprise. And she's going to pay him off. Now, that's a really surprising payoff on the river. 75 on the river there, and she pays him off. But once again, he wins the minimum. Kathy checks the turn, tries to keep the pot small, not a bad play.
I'm not going to play when you play.
He said ace king a few times.
And Irwin takes down about a $225 pot. Now, I got to tell you, I play that hand a little bit differently if I'm Irwin. I really do. I probably check raise the flop, and I probably lead right into her on the turn. I want to build, if she calls me. I know she's got an ace, and I've got a bigger ace than her. In fact, I'm actually hoping the diamond doesn't come, because the diamond could kill my action. But once the diamond comes, I'm still going to lead into her, and I'm not going to bet an overwhelming a lot, maybe 50% of the pot, just to keep building the pot up and make her pay me.
Bud moves over here to C2. Mark.
18 and 30 is the.
You know, it's funny, Mark, we've seen around the casino a lot. He was here like a year ago, then he left for a while and came back.
Seat number 2.
Yeah, sometimes we see that in players, right?
Yeah.
Or you get.
Sometimes we do.
I did see Amir around.
I did. I was actually playing the 5-10 game with him for a while. In fact, he paid off Joe Wynn. Yeah, I mean, cardinal rule, don't pay off Joe Wynn.
Queen, Queen 5 here on the flop. It was limped around. Everybody's missed here. Turns of 5.
And I got to say, this kind of table, it's so passive, I take a shot at it. I fire at it.
Well, Kathy and Rick both river pairs here.
Yeah.
And let's see. No, Kathy's not going to bet. I mean, would you bet a 10 there if it got checked to you with Jack 10?
I might. If I'm in Kathy's spot, I might.
Yeah.
Try to get an ace to call me. You never know. Somebody wouldn't think you'd bet a 10. They go, you don't need to bet a 10. Why would you bet a 10?
Right.
I'll call you with my ace.
Again, you can email us at live@thebike.com. Questions, comments, suggestions. Check out tomorrow. We'll have a new video blog episode up at live@thebike.com. Speaking of live@thebike.com, you can sign up for the archives if you haven't yet. Click on the on-demand banner. $14.95 a month gets you access to every show we have ever done since last February.
Every show?
Every show.
Really?
Even the big names. We've had about 6 or 7 hours of guest commentating by Barry Greenstein.
I mean, surely the 2005 shows aren't there anymore, right?
They are.
The 2005 shows are still there.
And surely you will see and hear Shirley as well. She was there as well.
That's phenomenal. I mean, I didn't think we had enough space to actually have the 2005 shows on there also.
So that's kind of like why Isaac, sometimes is like running around here during the day, like his hair.
I mean, we're talking
like
16 months.
Gigabytes. We have so many gigabytes on the server.
I mean, pretty much we do this show Monday through Friday, 7 to 10, and we've done it for 16 months. You're talking about 16 months of poker in the archives. Unbelievable.
And actually, at this point, it's terabytes, right? Yeah. Jerry's going to bet out here with the diamond draw. He's going to bet 60. And I really am a big proponent of betting out with flush draws, with an ace on board in an unraised pot. I like that bet. I mean, he is betting out of position into many players, but oftentimes it's very difficult for somebody to call.
It is. Now, new player in seat number 5, it's Michael. And I used to play with Michael a while back.
Yeah, he played in the 3 to 5 game. I don't know if he's ever been on the show. I definitely have played with him.
Yeah,
in the
he's a
past.
pretty solid player.
Is he?
Highway robbery.
Email here by Jason Kern says, "Gotta wonder if Kathy could have won more money with those queens. I think he would have called a smaller bet like it was a defensive missed flush draw bet. Any thoughts?" And I'm lost on that one because I was looking at you because maybe you'd help me.
If she could have got more money with those queens?
Yeah, I thought she had queens when the other guy had ace-king, right?
Yeah.
I don't know who.
Maybe someone can clarify that for us. Michael's got pocket aces here in the small blind. Welcome to the game.
Here?
Oh, I think she maybe he mixed it up with
Cheryl?
With Cheryl with the queens.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
If on the river she didn't bet too, I disagree. I got to tell you, you know what? At that point, the pot was.
He's almost getting 2.5 or 3 to 1 at the end.
Yeah, the pot was almost like $500.
Yeah.
She put in $225. I don't mind that at all.
Yeah.
I like to put people to the test.
A lot
Let
of
them pay me off.
A lot of people
let them
lose
pay me
some
off.
money by undervalue betting.
Yeah, I see a lot of people going, well, I'll bet 60 on the river. I'd rather bet 200 every single time. Maybe I won't get called this time, but I'll get called next time.
Email here from Karnak the Magnificent. He said, what happened in the booth? He said, it's simple. Bart got flashed. So that's pretty close.
Yeah, real close.
Yeah.
real close.
Close.
Although it was much more seductive than just a pure flash.
But moves over here to seat 5.
We got straddled pot here. Clint is straddled.
Now again, we have not seen anybody making raises out of the straddle spot in this full ring game. I mean, this is why I don't straddle that often in a full ring game, Dave. I know you might do it. Actually, I might do it in this game because it's so passive. But I don't like to put more money in out of position. But the game is so passive, it might be in order here.
Well, I rarely do it in a full ring game as well.
Yeah.
I'll more often do it in a 6-handed game.
Right.
Because sometimes if you do it in like 6-handed or 7-handed or even 5-handed, you're forcing the cutoff seat and the button to put in chips right away. Sometimes you can just buy the button, buy the straddle.
Now, Mark is going to bet 40 here with second pair.
You bet Mike 40 and he came over the top?
And Michael's calling with a...
Actually, Michael's going to raise with a kind of a dry flush draw in position.
Now, calling with the dry flush draw I don't like. Raising with the dry flush draw, I like it. I really do. I like raising here.
He's going to make it 100.
Nice, strong play. I don't think Mark can continue here. I don't. I really don't. Although we've seen Mark do some strange things. You never know. You're out of position. You've only got second pair. You have no redraw whatsoever. And you have no kicker. And Mark's going to throw this away, and it's a nice semi-bluff by Michael. And that's sometimes the best way to play those big draws. Not even a big draw, even a bad draw. You raise it, get a little bit of information from your opponent. If your opponent calls you, obviously you can reevaluate it. You can either take the free card in the turn, or you can really push if you think you can get your opponent up the hand.
I would have had to check the turn, give him the free card, he checks behind me, hits on the river, I have to check again.
Button's going to move over to seat 6, Jerry.
Once again, if there's anything that you hear Bart or I say that you don't understand, you can actually go to our website. On the left-hand side, there's poker terminology. You can click on that, and we kind of explain a few of those things. I'm still waiting. I'd love to actually have Corporation Mike, what the corporation stands for in that poker terminology spot.
Now, live straddle here again by Kathy, and this might be a case now. You've got a limp by Mark and a limp by Mike. I know you might do this. I might do it too. If I'm Jerry and he's got 7-9, I raise on the button. I might raise with any 2 cards here on this table on the button in a straddle pot after a couple limpers.
Yeah, you might. Definitely.
I mean, this is so passive. I know we're usually not big proponents of that. It's not a tournament, it's a cash game, but Queen Jack 6 here with a couple of clubs.
No, I love tables like this.
Because you look at it almost like as risk-free money, right? I mean, I know you've told me that before.
Like I said, I mean, you can always, obviously, anytime you're playing poker, there is risk. And obviously, you can always lose. But I don't know, you watch this game here, and I find it difficult to believe. I really find it hard to lose money in a game like this.
Anthony Losardo, I actually started his email, and I did not finish it. He said he was playing a 5-10 no-limit game before Borgata. And the under-the-gun player said he was leaving after the next hand and live straddled to 50. Which is obviously something we don't allow here, so it confuses me a little bit. Said everyone folded to me in the cutoff and I had ace-queen suited. Since the straddle was so large in proportion to the blinds, I really had no idea how much to raise. I decided to go with my standard raise of 3 times the big blind, so I raised at 150. He came over the top of me and showed me 2 aces after I folded. My question is, how much should I have raised in that situation? Could I have minimum raised, since in essence that is still a decent enough size raised for a 5-10 game? What would have been the best play?
The odd play is I've never heard of it. Was the straddle actually live, or was he just blind raising?
Yeah, I mean, he said it was a live straddle. I don't know how you do. Maybe there's different rules at different casinos regarding live
But
straddle.
that's almost, I mean, live straddle is almost always double the big blind. I mean, that's almost universal.
Raise here by Irwin. Cheryl easily gets away from ace-10 offsuit. Jerry is going to call here with deuce 3 of hearts, and again, I mean, these are hands that you can play when you're deep in position, but he's calling a $45 raise, and he only has probably $250 in front of him. I mean, Irwin's deep enough, but again, Jerry's not, right? Heads up here, ace queen against deuce 3 of hearts.
Can you imagine how that woman felt?
King jack 7. Irwin's going to continuation bet here.
Same thing. How she felt after.
Bet 60.
The woman that was.
And you can notice if there's a leak in Jerry's game, and obviously Jerry does watch the show. He watches the internet. He watches it when he goes home. If there's ever a leak in Jerry's game, that Jerry was running really well today. And I think because of that, I think he's starting to loosen up his pre-flop selection hands a little
Especially
bit too
calling
much.
your raises, too.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's just kind of feeling, well, I'm invincible today. Maybe I can, and obviously it's not going to work out that way.
She's going, what's my line? Nobody will guess.
I mean, hey, to answer Anthony's question, I guess if somebody made it $50 and it was live, nothing wrong with making it $150 to go. Obviously, it depends on how deep you are and how deep your opponent is. If you only had $500, well, that's too big a raise, obviously. If you have $5,000, though, $150 is fine.
I mean, if that straddle was live and you had 500, you might just limp there in the cutoff. I mean, literally. Maybe see what the other blinds do, and see, maybe you call a raise out of the blind or something like that.
No, I think your hand's too strong.
Think so?
Yeah, I do. I really think your hand is too strong.
I'm just thinking that 50 is almost a raise in itself.
It is, but I don't. The guy is blind in there for $50. I can't give him a free walk with a hand as weak as ace queen.
In terms of, because you don't want to see, yourself flop no pair. I was just thinking
What happens if
about.
I put in 50, right? The small blind, the big blind folds,
Right.
and the straddle spot. The straddle's guy's got like a 10-4 offsuit.
Right.
Flop comes out like 6-4 deuce, and he beats me. I mean, I think you've got to raise. I mean, at least a minimum raise to 100, maybe 125.
Michael's going to raise here with jacks, and he's going to take it down. And Cheryl straddled that. Did Cheryl straddle, or she limped in? Couldn't quite tell. Maybe there's a straddle by Irwin. So you would never think about just limping there with kind of a short stack? Maybe calling a raise? I mean, even for deceptive value there. Or you just think that the chance that it just gets limped or checked around is too great, and you want to add full equity to try to pick up dead money?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of depends on what you think the straddle guy's going to do.
Yeah.
If you think the straddle guy might raise it up, or if you think one of the guys in the small blind or big blind might make a move on you, okay. If you want to gamble up $500, sure. I just see oftentimes somebody putting in money blind, or somebody betting $100 blind, and somebody looking down at ace queen and go, okay, well, I'll call. Man, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to give this guy just a free walk. I'm going to put him to the test, or not even put him to the test. I'm going to put money in with what probably is the best hand.
Jerry's going to raise here with aces. And Mark is going to call out of position here with 7-10 of clubs in the blind. King, queen, 10 here.
And I would assume this goes check, bet, fold, right?
This is really not it is not one of the best flops you want to see with aces here. King,
No,
queen,
he does
10.
have the ace of hearts, which makes it a little bit stronger, but you're right.
That was such a good flop for me for the rest of the game.
I mean, and again, Mark is continuously, and we don't mind talking, coming over to us and saying, what did you think about my game? And now we pretty much refer him to the show. So I'm doing this for your purpose, Mark. If you really want to step up your game, you almost have to go back to basics, to your pre-flop hand selection in and out of position. Because I think it's a major, major leak what's going on right now.
Yeah, I mean, I got to tell you, Mark's game right now, and we like to shoot it straight here.
Yeah.
Mark's game is actually, his game today is worse than it was 6 months ago. It really is.
Are you talking about today in general or just tonight specifically?
No, I'm talking about today over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
His game, actually last month even. I mean, his game's really been somewhat suspect, hasn't it?
No, I agree with you.
And we say that only because he did ask.
Right.
I mean, the best thing he could probably do is, really watch some archives, read a book, and go back to basics.
You call for it.
I mean, it's a simple thing. Sometimes in no-limit hold'em, those gap-suited connectors can look so pretty. But it's almost like I want to write a list of the things you have to consider when you call a raise. With a hand that's like a small pocket pair, with a hand that's a gap-suited connector, you have got to look at A, your position, B, your stack size and your opponent's stack size, C, the player, and maybe not necessarily in that order.
Fork is going
You know what I mean?
back.
But those are three major things that you need to look at.
Bart and David are getting
Well, I mean, you
ready to-
saw him lose $500 right away, right?
Yeah.
Then you saw, and obviously he had the best hand there. He did have a set of eights when he lost $500 right at the beginning of the show.
Right.
Okay, nothing wrong there, obviously.
The last
You know,
week they left
had the best of it. He got sucked out on. Well, then he built his stack up to about 700 or 800.
and if it's
And you know, he's really dunked up a couple of hundred here. He gave Cheryl 160, gave this guy 40, gave this guy 40.
everyone picks a card, like
He's made a couple of moves on Clint that have worked.
everyone throws a guy money.
But in a game like this, you don't have to make that many moves, do you?
$300 giving people money.
Just be aggressive with what you got.
Joe's got ace-king suited here in the cutoff in C1. And on the other side of that, Dave,
Raise 35 total.
we got a $35 raise here by Joe.
Distract me too much.
Well, you only do it when you're not in
So it makes it 35 to go here. See what Joe's going to do. Or, excuse me, Jerry. He's got 9-10 offsuit. And Kathy is going to call here with a suited ace. This is really the first mistake I've seen her make here tonight. Suited ace, 6 of clubs, out of position here to Joe's raise. She's dominated.
Against a solid player.
Wow, look at this. Over cards and hearts. Well, nothing really for Kathy to get involved with here.
And that's what happens sometimes even to the really good players. And Kathy's played it. I'd say she played it real well the first hour and a half of the show.
Yeah.
We just get a little impatient sometimes. People just go, cards aren't coming, though.
Yeah.
Or somebody goes, well, this is the best hand I've seen, though, in an hour.
Now, what I was going to say is on the other end of that, you know, we talk about how Mark, his game has kind of decreased. Joe's game really, I think he was always a good player, but he's playing as well as anybody I've seen play in this game so far over the last couple months. I mean, I haven't seen, you know, sometimes you talked about Hav, said, boy, we haven't, I mean, before the last month, we haven't seen really Hav make any mistakes. And now we start seeing him make mistakes. I haven't really seen Joe make any big mistakes.
Solid.
Yeah.
Solid, man. He's just solid. That's all you can say.
King, queen,
I would have, I mean, very rarely would I want to back somebody.
Yeah.
I would have no problem backing him in a cash game. He's a solid player. And I got to tell you, he wouldn't want me to back him because he's a winning player.
Right, right. We got a race here
You were the guy that grabbed
by
the
seed
ball in
8.
the corner.
Makes it 35 to go.
I have a lot of respect for Joe's game.
I wonder if Joe's going to move it up to the 500 game. I haven't seen him do it yet. You wonder, you know,
you
he's
wonder
in a
if he-
comfort zone.
yeah,
If
he's in a
he
comfort
feels he
zone.
needs to do it. Yeah.
Gramercy cards, huh? Were you going to school?
When you wonder what his hourly is in a game like this, I really think your hourly in a game like this can be upwards of $75 an hour, though. I think you can make somewhere like that.
Oh, well, look at this. Cheryl's got a set of threes here. And she's going to bet right out. Now,
I
again,
love it.
though, I don't know if Clint had enough money for her to make this bet, for her to make this call.
Now, okay, I'm going to ask.
Does he have $100 chips there?
Friends back there, right?
Oh, he's got $100 chips on his cards.
Now, normally we love this bet. We love betting with sets. We
Right.
do, and I know Cheryl watches the show, and that's probably maybe that's one of the reasons she's betting with her set, and I love it. In this game, sometimes, actually, not just in this game, in any game where you're short stacked, sometimes it is correct to play it backwards.
Right. We talk about that sometimes as well. And I take that back. But look at this.
Look
She's
at
going to
that.
induce a raise by Clint. So right back at you, Tuckman.
No, and that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Finish my thought. Sometimes by betting, you get, and look at that, she moves all in, now Clint throws it away.
Push all in. But at the same time, wouldn't Clint probably call with an overpair here?
I love the play. I
Yeah.
really like the play by her. And some people are saying, well, why wouldn't she check, though? Well, she doesn't know Clint's got 9-10 of hearts.
Right.
The way Clint has played this, Clint is playing it like his pocket 10s or pocket aces even.
Yeah.
My guess is set of three.
You know, and if he does have pocket aces, he might call that.
Oh, I think so.
Nice play by Cheryl. Sometimes the best way to make money in this game is to actually bet it.
And I was also talking about the fact that if she bets the flop there and he raises with kings or aces and she moves all in, you almost have to call against normal competition because you think that she might make that move with jacks or queens, 2 hands that you can beat in this game.
And she probably would.
And I think that Clint maybe thought that she was betting out with 9s or 10s and he could get her off of it.
Yeah, you know, there's that misnomer. Oftentimes, guys, us being chauvinistic pigs as we are,
Right.
we often think, well, I'm the guy here. I can bully her. Okay, I'll show her where she stands. Get back in the kitchen, you know?
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, women can play poker too.
Raise, make it 30 total.
And a lot of women can play poker very well.
Well,
So-
Mark's going to bring this one in with 7 deuce offsuit here in the cutoff.
I'll give you the last one.
And you kind of wonder if Clint was making that move because it was a woman.
Now, this is interesting. Joe is going to call here at 4-5. And if you take into account the player, if Mark was raising with a big hand, you might win all the money. Or you might win a big amount of money. And Joe is going to come out and bet right away here with Queen Jack 4. He bets 25. And Mark is going to raise.
I mean, this is just, I mean, this is the kind of plays I don't understand.
Joe just folds.
I just don't understand. What is the value of being in there with deuce 7? Turn would have brought a 4. What is the value of being in there with deuce 7? I mean, and then you're making a raise like...
River would have brought a 7.
Just trying to get lucky, I guess?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to hope this guy has nothing.
Live straddle here by Clint.
And I talk about that woman thing. Obviously, I'm being facetious and I'm joking about it. But at the same time, I do think a lot of men think that way. They go, "Ooh, maybe I can kind of blow her over, you know, outmuscle her." Now Joe's going to make somewhat of a questionable call. Oh no, he's got 10-9. I thought it was 10-7 for a second.
9-10 offsuit from up front.
Yeah, kind of middleish position.
Again, though, there's not a lot of pre-flop raising, so you might be able to come in with some hands.
Yeah, for a second I thought it was 10-7 now, which is why I thought it was a little bit questionable. I said, wow, that's a two-gapper that far away.
Five-way action here. Ace, ace, 3. Well, Michael has got ace deuce suited on the button.
And I want to bet right away. I want to find out where I'm at.
He checks it.
Do it to me.
Turns an 8. Well, he's induced Rick to kind of make a little move here.
And all you can do is call, right? I mean, you don't want to. I don't want to raise this. I don't want to build a pot up with ace deuce. There's really no value to raising this, is there?
And if the guy bets again, you probably just call on the river.
Yeah,
as well.
Of course you just call. Unless the deuce comes.
Well, the river's a 3. Well, now
I still don't raise. You can lose to ace 8, and you're not going to get a call by anything else.
Yep. This guy's going to bet again.
I mean, unless you think, you think somebody will pay you off with a 3? 3's full? Yeah, you just call
and
that.
Michael just calls. Yep. Now, my question to you is, if you've got a solid player that comes at you at the turn, and now he checks the river, would you still sometimes check behind it with
No,
ace deuce?
I bet.
Or you think you're going to bet for value there?
I bet there's
yeah.
value.
Yeah.
If it gets checked to me, I'm betting that. Because you don't know. I mean, somebody could call you with an 8. Somebody could call you with king high, thinking you're bluffing. Oftentimes somebody will play a 3 that way as well, where they'll check it and go, well, I'm going to check my 3 and I'm going to call any bet.
He's supposed to leave when you're up 500, remember? Now you're stuck. Now you're here.
Got an email here from Dave Jones correcting Dave Tuckman's grammar.
Yep.
Oh, I always appreciate those emails. I think, you definitely need that.
Yeah,
grammar.
I'll work on it. I'll
It's
get home right
Bart
away.
and me. If there's anything you hear Bart and me say,
I'm sorry.
I believe.
I'll go home right away, right after the show, and I'll work on my grammar.
Seat 6 is going to raise here to 20 with ace deuce offsuit.
70 total.
Well, Rick is going to re-raise here to 70 with ace queen, and now let's put Clint in a difficult spot. Well, he's going to call with 9s.
Do you have a copy of Strunk White?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Can you lend it to me?
Yeah, it's from my college writing classes.
Yeah, I had one too. I threw it away, but I sold it or whatever. I'd really appreciate it.
So Rick is out of position here with ace queen. And again, it's difficult to see how much money Clint has because he's got a couple of white 100 chips.
Well, not a bad flop for 9s.
It's not a bad flop for 9s, but again, if a guy comes out and bets big, how do you play it? Do you call one time? Is there any value to raising?
Well, the nature of this game sometimes is difficult because sometimes you find yourself in a situation where if you raise, you're pot committed yourself.
Yep.
But if you just call, you get no information. What are you going to just call off your money?
Now remember, it was a button raise and a re-raise in the small blind. In that particular situation, the guy in the small blind might not necessarily have as strong a hand, say, as if he had raised like under the gun or something like that.
Yeah, no,
a steal
definitely.
and a re-steal.
Although I wonder, do you put these players on are they thinking that far ahead? Are they thinking, wait a second, Jerry is on a button steal, so I'm going to re-steal it with my ace-queen? Or do you think he's just playing his own cards?
Well, I mean, what I'm saying is that might be going through Clint's mind in terms of the strength of this guy's raise. Sometimes you might put him on a specific range when he re-raises a hand, but in this case, when he re-raises a razor, it might be a lot less because it's a button raise, right?
Yeah, no, I agree.
And Clint mucks the nines, and I really don't have a big problem with the fold.
No, the only hand you could beat is ace king.
Yeah.
And ace queen in this case.
Yeah.
And there's really only 2 plays there. You're pretty much going to move all in. I mean, I suppose you could call and just give your money away if the guy's got queens or jacks or kings.
Well, email here from Mauricio Fernandez, and he says, I am a regular at the Borgata, and I have to tell you, the Borgata does not allow live straddles. So that was obviously a blind raise, Dave, to 50. And that makes a lot more sense, because a live straddle 5 times the big line, I've never seen that. 5 times the big line, a live straddle.
Now, in that case, I mean, it does present a different problem. If you think that guy is kind of playing like a maniac and he's going to move all in.
If you just call him.
I'm wondering if you want to just call there, because then you don't reopen the betting.
Right.
And you get to see a flop cheap. Although I think ace-queen in that case is just too strong to give him a free walk to the flop. Especially since he's blind raised.
Don't forget my man over there. Don't forget him. He's
Full player.
And I'll get real deep with you about that situation in a second, which is actually just applies to the last hand we just saw on the show. 9-4-7 here on the flop.
Rick's got the best hand there. 7-5.
Well, that's a good bet by Mark. He's going to bet with an open-ended straight draw
It's a
on
great
a rainbow,
bet, yeah, why
on a
not?
rainbow board.
It really puts, I mean, you put pressure on. Now, Jerry's thinking about it, but can Jerry call with pocket deuces?
I mean, look at his stack size. I mean, you almost have to move in here. All right, he's going to fold.
And he really, I mean, it's going to be tough for Rick to call either, and he gets one hand out that's better than his. Obviously, there is fold equity here. And if somebody calls him, hey, well, he's still got outs.
So what I was going to get at is sometimes when you've got a guy who's been blind raising, and not necessarily a straddle, and you think you have a pretty good grasp on people's range of hands that they raise and they re-raise with, sometimes you get a guy who 3-bets a blind raise, and that hand might be weaker than when he open raises with the hand in terms of what his range is,
Of course.
as opposed to the re-raise. So if you open with a raise with ace-queen in late position, somebody out of the blinds might re-raise, thinking that you're just trying to make a 3-bet steal. I mean, it just play after play after play.
Of course you would. I mean, a lot of times, if you think somebody is blind, if somebody is blind raising, I will sometimes re-raise to isolate him with his hand as weak as ace-9.
Right.
I mean, why not? Also, obviously, it depends on how much money I have and how much money he has. I'm not going to be so stupid, though, to commit a lot of my money, because somebody else could wake up with a big hand, and so could he.
ace king, ace queen. Which one?
But I mean, it kind of puts yourself. I just think it adds another dimension to that question with ace queen, because now if you raise, and of course it's going to depend on how deep you are. What are you planning on doing if somebody out of the blind comes back at you because they think you're just stealing the blind raiser? Right?
Yeah, it definitely does. You're right. You got to really start thinking about all those things.
On Saturday Night Live,
It's one of the reasons why, you know, one action player like that who's putting in blind raises often creates action for the entire table.
Right.
What his real name is?
Button moves over here to seat 9.
Wasn't his mother
Pocket jacks for Mark in seat 2.
In the big blind.
right? When a famous person, Albert Brooks' mother is a famous person, very famous.
And again, depending on the table, depending on where this open raise might come from, you can play jacks as a smooth call. You could play it as a re-raise. In the bigger game, I might more often than not just play it as a smooth call. In this game, you might raise. Obviously, very table dependent. So a $25 open raise here, and now a call. So now, you know, you're stressed with the fact that there is more dead money out there, but now you've got a solid player in Kathy calling the race.
Well, Kathy calling the race doesn't scare me. She's not calling the race. Queens are better.
Right.
I tend to re-raise. I think
And Mark is going to re-raise here.
Now, the other problem with re-raising this is, okay, let's say you don't get called. Okay, so you win $50. Congratulations. Might you want to sometimes call that and see if you can win yourself a big pot?
Hey, Dave, what was one of the hands we did on the video blog today?
Exactly.
If anyone catches that tomorrow morning, it was a hand where I had jacks. I pretty much knew, because of the fact that, and he shows the jacks, I pretty much knew because of the fact that the open raiser varies his raise sizes, that he most likely had 2 big Broadway cards. And there was a smooth caller in between. Now, I could have re-raised and took it down right there, but the smooth caller in between had me covered and we were both $5,000 deep. So I decided to call and try to hit a set.
See if you can win a big pot.
Yeah.
Definitely a way to go about it. You see there, Mark's won $50. If the flop were to come out, say, Ace, Jack 3, you wonder how much money is Rick going to lose with top pair. And maybe does Mark win himself $400?
Email here from Marty. Says, please explain running the river. Again, you can go over to liveatthebike.com, our website, and look on the left-hand side of the screen and look at poker terminology, and it's there. I think Kathy's going to be moving to a stud high-low game.
Yeah. Sweetheart that Kathy is.
Got a raise here by Rick with an 8-9 offsuit. You wonder if Rick's getting a little bit impatient.
Well, he's done a couple of those little steals, you know? I don't think there's much value in stealing the blinds in this game, but sometimes I would, in this kind of game, I would definitely raise in position with 2 real connected cards. And if I get called, well, I'll play it accordingly afterwards. If I don't get called, okay, that's okay too.
1 more hour to go in the games. We're getting into the third period, right? 3 hours.
Crunch time.
Edmonton's down 2-0-2, right?
Maybe this will change my luck. I can stretch my leg out a little bit, relax. Maybe I'll get a face card.
King Queen offsuit here. Clint has moved over to seat 9.
Oh, look at that.
And he's 1 off the cutoff, Dave. At this table, I'm probably going to raise in this spot.
Just throw it in there. Just throw it in all. Yeah, 35.
Going to make it 35 to go. Now, Michael is linked in with King 10 of clubs under the gun.
And not a hand I want to get involved with. I don't want to play that heads up against a tough player in seat number 9. Call a hand like that, you're just asking for trouble.
And obviously we say King 10, Ace 10 offsuit is garbage. Do you limp in sometimes with King 10 suited, Ace 10 suited from up front at a table that's not so aggressive?
Yeah, you definitely limp in. I just don't want to call a raise with it, though.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I'm calling a raise, there's a good chance somebody's got a bigger king or a bigger ace than me. And in this case, Michael's badly dominated. Interesting post here from new user 2006 on 2+2, and it does bring me to an interesting thought. The player that had played at the Borgata, that sent us the email, Anthony, he said that he raised it with ace-queen, right? And then got re-raised by the blind, quote-unquote, blind raise, who just happened to have pocket aces.
Right.
A little caveat for all you people. Make sure when somebody is saying they're betting blind, make sure they actually are blind. Because how convenient for them to put $50 in their blind and then have
wake
pocket
up
aces.
Yeah.
Sounds fishy.
Mark's got pocket jacks here, and he is, looks like he's on the cutoff. And
25.
he's gonna, did something that was actually kind of illegal there. I'll explain it in a second. He raises to 25. Yeah, he went to raise to put out chips, and then seat 3 mucked his hand because of that action. So that actually gives him a little bit of information. He did not say raise.
Oh,
He said saying, yeah. I don't really know how.
Obviously, if I'm in Cheryl's spot and I'm in the big blind, I'm going to be like, hey,
That's only a call.
well, even more than that, I'm going to be a little annoyed at seat 3. I'm going to say something to Irwin. I'm going to say, Irwin, can you hold on to your cards until he puts his money in the pot? You're making it a lot easier for him to raise because he knows he doesn't have to worry about you.
I mean, I had a hand yesterday. I was sitting next to Hav. You know, I had raised with pocket queens, and the flop came out king high, and I was up against 2 other opponents out of position. I was in position. It got checked to me. I started to bet, and immediately the guy in first position folded. That gives me a lot of information. I haven't announced the bet verbally. I'm just putting stacks up there. I got stacks in my hand.
Of course it does.
Now I might be able to end smaller now because I know I got that guy out of there.
Well, players also make the mistake of, let's say you announce a raise. Let's say you were to bet 40, right?
Right.
There's a player behind me, and I'm first to act, and I go, raise. And this guy immediately folds.
Right.
Well, now I can go, oh, okay, what do I want to raise now? How much do I want to raise? Do I want to raise at minimum? So I don't have to worry about this guy now.
Right.
Maybe I want to keep barred in.
I thought a table change, you have to come in for 500.
And by the way, New Year's of 2006, his post was, sounds like the live straddle at the Borgata was actually, quote unquote, I looked at my cards, but I'm going to say I didn't straddle.
Yeah, any must move, you can bring your own stack. Is it on me? Not that I care. Not that I care.
Yeah, they're talking about what we talked about earlier. New player coming in the game from a different 3 to 5 game. He can only start in this game with 500.
Right.
Because it is a table change.
Once again, if you must move, though, you can bring your chips.
Okay, roll.
6 player.
6-way action here. Ace, King, 10 here. And Marcus flopped a Broadway straight here in position in seat 2. It's a rainbow board. You want to hope that somebody hit a little piece of this and put a little bit of a bet in here.
25.
He's going to bet 25. I like the bet.
Betting 25.
15 twice.
Now, Clint, you would have thought he might bet there second to last to act with King Queen. Is he going to check call here? Really, really difficult to play that hand out of position now as a check call. And Mark's in great shape.
Shades are on.
Turns another 10. Clint checks.
I mean, I think this is a pretty easy laydown for Clint, isn't it?
Mark's going to bet again.
Now, Mark's been raising Clint a lot, though, making a lot of moves. But I don't think he's going to get involved. Well, wait a second.
And he's going to check raise him.
All in?
I guess so. He only has 150 left, but it's an easy call for Mark. He loses to a full house only. 125 more.
You have a full house, you got me by flopping out.
Yep, Mark calls, and Clint is drawing to a
chop.
king.
Yeah, you need to
Well,
actually...
he could catch a king to win here.
or a queen to chop it.
A jack,
No, jack to chop.
a jack
Thank
to
you.
chop. And the river's a 4.
Thank you for butchering that.
I 10-7. What you got?
Straight, ace high, straight.
We would have lost with sets.
That was on point.
You think I fall
Yeah.
trap every time I bet? I don't know why that is.
King to win, jack to chop.
You know what's great, though? It's great the fact that we have microphones, and we can make fun of Ronnie. But Ronnie can make fun of us, but nobody hears it.
Right? Now, I think we had this discussion about a month ago, and the rule doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Is it true that if you move from a must move to a main game, you can actually take chips off the table, though?
Thank you, I got no, he's the assistant.
Is that in an unrestricted game? Can you do that?
I
You
think
can, you can come in for the minimum
Yeah.
money, is that right?
I
If
believe
you
you
move from a
can.
must move to
Yeah,
a...
I believe you can. Well, it's the casino is giving you an inconvenience. Pocket Kings for Irwin, by the way.
Yeah.
He's going to make it $40. No, and you're correct.
How much?
And I think it's by the casino is giving you inconvenience by making you move. You don't have the option. You can bring all those chips or less.
Look at this. Kings is raised, and Jerry is going to call. He said he's on the short stack. He's called with 7-8 suited for $40, almost 25% of his stack out of position here.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Jerry's doing here. The only thing I can think of is that he won a lot of money earlier. Terrible flop for Irwin, but he's way ahead.
That's like the ugliest.
The only thing I can think of is, Jerry won about $1,500 before the show started, and he just figured, you know what? I'm just gonna have fun and donk off 500. I'm not. I mean, that's what it seems
And
like.
again, I know that Jerry watches this show, so direct advice to him, he really has to start paying attention to his stack size and his opponent's stack sizes when he's calling with those
I think he knows.
implied hands.
I think he
implied
knows.
on hands.
I gotta think that he's actually actively donking it up tonight.
Okay.
Right? I mean, we know he knows how to play poker.
Don't forget, I had pocket deuces. I didn't see that the full house and the guy had 8. I didn't see that. No. The other guy, young guy, pocket deuces.
Well,
right?
Mike in
He
seat
had
5
8,
years got ace queen.
full house today. I didn't see that. That was more than the other one.
Deuces never loses.
Imagine he's going to raise here from the
Yeah.
cutoff.
Pocket sevens for
Raise 20 total.
I think that's for Rick there in seat 7.
Well, Jerry's going to make the call here. Queen 10. You wonder, maybe he's got purples under there that we can't see.
No, he said he's short stacked.
Yeah.
Player.
All right. Even that is a very suspect call with Queen 10 when he's
course
this
it
short
is.
stack on the button. 7-9-6 here.
Well,
Well,
set for Rick.
Rick's got a set.
Way ahead,
And he's
obviously.
going to bet right out into it, Dave. It's a pretty connected
Betting
board.
65.
Bet 65.
I like the bet, I really do. See, it's one of the things that happens here. You see, like Michael, now obviously Michael's got nothing, but it freezes you. Even if Rick were betting an 8, let's say Rick had I'm trying to think of a hand
All
that.
in.
Well, look at this.
And Jerry moves all in with Queen 10.
Well, and he needs an 8.
Yeah, got shot to the 8. And the turn's an 8. Are you
Oh.
kidding me?
Well,
the turn
Rick-
is an 8.
Rick has redraws.
Here we go to the river. The
Oh.
river's an 8.
Yeah, that's ugly.
Wow.
Really ugly.
Wow. That is. I mean, there's no fold equity there. I mean, that's pure gamble there by Jerry. I mean, that is not a semi-bluff push. Yeah, he's got 2 overs and a straight draw to the 8, but there is absolutely no fold equity. Rick is betting a pretty nice bet into the pre-flop raiser. And when
Yeah.
Jerry pushes, Rick's going to be getting 6 or 7 to 1 there.
Yeah, and I guess he thought his overcards were good. Obviously, he was drawing to only 4 outs there, and he gets lucky enough to catch it.
Bet, Teddy, bet.
Thank you.
Once again, you can email us at live@thebike.com. If you missed any part of this show, you can actually follow it on a live loop. We replay the show at 11 p.m. tonight, and then every 3 hours until 5 p.m. tomorrow. You can also catch the entire week on Sunday. While you're watching the World Cup and while you're playing internet poker, you can have us on in the background, and we replay the entire week starting at noon.
Button moves over here to Rick in seat 7. Kind of took a pretty vicious beat last hand.
Yeah, that's ugly.
Mike limps in with 8-5 spades. Jerry comes in with 8-5 of clubs.
6 player.
Limped around. 6-way action. Jack 7 deuce rainbow. And Jerry's going to make a bluff at it here on the button. He's going to bet 50. Now is Mark is going to check call here, Dave, with middle pair, no kicker.
Raise.
Oh, excuse me. He's going to mid-raise.
Call.
Well, if he thinks that Jerry's on a steal, obviously I think it's better. I mean, I can't see how you're going to continue to check call.
Where'd my last unit? What are you?
I mean, Jerry has absolutely nothing.
The guy left.
can't. I don't have
Was he
the-
the guy, the eye guy, the eyebrow? That was great. He did the Belushi on me.
Storm seat open?
Yes. If I guess your hand, will you show it? If I guess your exact hand, not super card. King Jack.
And
Ace Jack.
Mark folds.
That's enough. I'm done here.
Oh, really? New player coming into seat 9.
I wasn't even close with Ace Jack.
He had recently been banned from the show, but I think we're giving him a reprieve.
Are we?
I guess so.
Okay.
Honestly, we'll probably ban him again by the end of the show.
Email from an anonymous person on Twitter says, "Hey there, been a long time watching the show. I'm planning to visit the bike. Tomorrow is Saturday. Curious if tomorrow's $1,000 min game is 510 or 1020. It's actually 1020. And you're curious to play in it if there's a list for it, and there is a list. So what you want to do is call the Bicycle Casino,
We can consider
ask for the Plaza,
Yeah.
and ask for Mo.
Actually, you know what? This guy can email us. Actually, I will respond to this email, anonymous poster, and I'll kind of give you the details as to how you have to go about doing it.
Raise. 35 total.
Got a $35 raise here.
You didn't like my explanation? You didn't like him calling the Plaza asking for Mo?
I just think sometimes it is a little bit vague, and Mo might post a list in the morning now. Sometimes that's what he does.
Heads up.
We're heads up here.
Apparently, Francois is not coming to the game.
So Rick,
What will we do?
Rick raised with Ace-3, and Steve made the smooth call with 10s, and Steve is going to bet 40 here. And Rick is going to check raise him, Dave. Check raise him here with Ace-3.
I think once they see me, give them some heat, they're not going to push through that.
what's your specialty. Who do you
Let's
think?
get a look of a bluffer.
Kids or older?
Let's see Rick there. Not moving, doesn't want to give anything away.
In other words, non-poker players.
The look of a bluffer.
Hypnotherapist.
Almost not even breathing.
Wow. That takes
Doesn't want to let anything out. And Steve is going to just call, and I don't mind this just call. I really don't. There's no draw whatsoever.
I mean, you don't think that Rick is check raising with an overpair or a queen here?
Well, there's no. I was right. There's no.
Sales negotiations.
There's no reason to actually
If you've got the
re-raise.
best, well, if he thought he had the best hand on the flop, I would assume he's going to call here now.
Of course. Well, I guess my point was, I like the call of the fold. I don't think there's any value to raising there, because if your opponent is bluffing, well,
Depends upon if it's a public
if your opponent is bluffing, there's no value to raising. And if he's got you beat, he's going to call you. So you're either going to call or you're going to fold here. Kind of an odd bet by Steve, by Rick, but yeah, you never know. A lot of players in this game play it a little unorthodox once again. And Steve's going to call, and Rick is almost drawing dead. He needs an ace and only an ace. There's the 8 of spades. Rick gets caught, and Steve's going to take it down with 2 pair, queens and tens. Steve just didn't buy this guy had a queen. And oftentimes it is just correct. I mean, I really like... Bluffing works when used in very select situations. You don't have to bluff that much to be a successful poker player. You really don't. I know a lot of you watch like a Corporation Mike and you go, well, what about him? Yeah, I'd like to reserve judgment and see if Corporation Mike can keep this up for a year before if I know he's a really successful poker player. Apparently we got Mr. X in seat number 9.
Ace 10 of clubs here for seat 8.
Mr. X, is that like, Mr. Pink?
Raise 25 total.
What were the colors in Reservoir Dogs?
Oh,
Pink,
man.
blue, red? No red? No, I don't think there was Mr. Red. Mr. White, Mr. Brown.
Yeah, there was a white and brown, a pink.
So Steve is raising here with ace 10 of clubs. And look, see, Joe is
No black.
Joe is going to smooth call here with jacks on the button. Wow, and Jerry is going to call out of position here with king 6 of diamonds. Well, here we go, three-way action, about an $80 pot. Trip kings for Jerry.
Now, is Steve going to get himself in trouble here with ace 10? Let's see.
But I mean, the funny thing here for Jerry, this is the inherent problem. You can't even play a king that hard here with king 6, can you? I mean...
And Joe is bet 75, and you can't
jacks.
blame him.
Yeah.
He's going to get some information here. And since there's no draw whatsoever, he is going to get all the information he needs right when Jerry calls.
And I got to tell you, if Jerry check calls here and another Broadway card comes on the turn or on the river...
I think the hand's over right now. I think Steve's going to fold. I really do.
Yeah, but Jerry didn't check raise him.
No, he just called. I don't care, though.
But what I'm saying...
You call with ace 10 here?
No.
Oh,
But
okay.
what I'm saying for Jerry, though, is that if a Broadway card comes on the turn or the river, his hand is almost garbage. Unless Chester is on a pure bluff.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to go check.
Turns a 7.
And then Jerry's going to move all in on the river.
Well, now he moves all in on the turn, and Joe quickly folds.
Yeah, and the problem with that bet there's no value to it. You're only going to get called by a hand that beats you.
Yep.
The river's an ace.
Wow. Oof. But you see what I'm saying? I mean, calling with king 6 suited out of position, having that flop, you don't even know where you're at, right?
Of course not. Right. I mean, he's too short stacked to get away from it, but he moves in there on the turn, only going to get called by a hand that's got him beat.
Sorry if I guess your hand. King 4.
Very close.
Don't forget to miss. Don't forget to catch us tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. We start our Friday night double fist night.
No, he didn't say that.
10-20 blinds, probably upward of $40,000 on the table.
You'll be surprised at how close we'll see it. 1-4? One-legged 4?
It's like Pajeto said that he's somewhere on the final table of the of an Omaha High-Low event.
Wow.
Joe's got pocket aces now. Really getting a lot of cards. And he's going to raise it up to 45 here.
Now, his raise is a little bigger than it was earlier, but he's also got a lot more chips than he had earlier.
Yeah.
And he's going to take it down without a flop. And oftentimes with pocket aces, I don't mind that. I really don't. I'm not always looking for action with my aces. Unless you improve, you got to realize they're just one pair.
Look at this. Joe is, I mean, he's almost got 2,000. He's almost got a stack of whites there. Obviously, stack of whites, 20 whites, $2,000.
Having a real good night.
Got about a half an hour left on the show. Are you going to drink that Corona, or can I have it after the show?
I think I'm probably going to drink it. I'm driving right away, so I'll take it with me.
New Orleans style.
Something wrong with that?
You know, I was watching this documentary about Vegas, and I don't know if I misheard, but they said for a while it was legal to be driving with an open container. Like, they didn't really make it illegal until, like, the last 5 or 10 years or something like that.
Why would it be illegal? I don't see anything wrong with it. It's not illegal to be drinking. It's illegal to be drunk.
Yeah, but most states, I think all states have an open container rule, don't they?
Ridiculous.
Pocket Queens here on the button for Irwin. Been kind of quiet recently. Mark's going to raise to 20 with Queen 8 of Hearts. And in this case, this might be a clear-cut raise.
Oh, it's an easy re-raise.
Yeah.
That's a big raise.
75 more.
And
now,
that
can
should
Mark just let go of this here? He's out of position. I mean, he's deep, Irwin's deep, but Queen 8 of Hearts.
Yeah, he's not going to call this.
Two is calling. Absolutely. Absolutely calling.
No, he's not going to call this.
No? I mean, I've got aces.
All
I think you're going to
right.
outplay
You said I
me.
got aces. All right, you got a piece of paint.
You let it go.
Yeah, I won.
Like you're saying, tell me.
Where is that, Gus, Barry Woods was telling me that Gus was a little bit irritated with us. Some of the comments we've been making about his game. Of course, Gus, who plays usually on
He didn't
Tuesday
seem
nights.
like it. I saw him on, we saw him at the sit and go.
No, I know. He didn't seem like to us. I'm saying Barry said he was a little bit irritated.
Well, it's funny. Actually, Gus came to me that day. When did we have the sit and go? On Monday? Tuesday.
Tuesday we had
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah.
On Tuesday, we had the sit and go. And Gus actually came up to me and said, hey, tonight, he goes, I know I've been playing a little weird. I go, yeah. I got no big deal. And he goes, tonight, I'm going to play a textbook. Great poker. I go, okay, great. Cool.
Are you saying this before or after you looked at me first?
We talked about it. He didn't seem like he had a problem at all. I mean, I think most people understand that we're just doing our job. It's not personal. And obviously, both of us open ourselves up. When we talk about poker, we also open ourselves up because we play in the game.
Limped around here 6 ways.
Speaking of playing the game, when is the next time one of us is going to play in the game?
I don't know. Jack 8-6 here with a couple of diamonds. Well, Jerry's got a pretty big hand here. He's got a gut shot straight draw and a flush draw. Gut shot straight flush draw with 10-7 and diamonds. Out of the big blind, he's going to come out and bet 45.
One time, my man. My man.
And Irwin is going to call here with Queen 9. Gut shot to the
10?
10 with 2 diamonds out there.
Hidden value of that hand. Cheryl's open-ended with 2 diamonds out there. I don't mind this
Nice
laydown
laydown.
at all. It's a really nice laydown.
If a 10 comes as well, she does not have, say, the nut straight.
Yeah, I don't mind that laydown at all.
Yeah, if a 10 comes, she would be in trouble because Irwin would have made a higher straight.
Right.
Turns an ace.
Oftentimes, draws are hard enough to make as it is.
Jerry bets right in there at the ace. Nice aggressive play. He takes it down.
It's hard enough as it is to hit a draw. When I am drawing, I want to be drawing to the nuts. So if I hit my hand, I can really play it hard.
Let's take a look at another chip count here. Look at Joe, 2,200 on the table.
Yeah, 7,300 on the table total. And he has the table covered by far. Mark has eked his stack up to 900 now. Let's see how they're doing. Wow, Joe's up 1,700. Cheryl hasn't played it flashy, played a real nice, solid game. She's up 250. Congratulations to her. Steve and Michael also up. Rick is our big loser. He's down $1,000. Now, if we were politically correct, would I say Rick is our big non-winner?
Bucket jacks here for Michael on the button. Interesting email here by Jake Gelbort. Get to it
I've
after
got
this.
my hypnotherapist on the case. Who's making this a monster? You are? What?
And he's going to pop it up. Boy, it seems like we've seen jacks a lot tonight, Dave. We haven't seen kings much. Fair share of queens and aces, but jacks a lot.
Well, this is one of those special decks. There's actually 5 jacks in this deck.
So pocket jacks is raised here in seat 5. Jerry's going to call with deuces.
And he's probably not going to hit a set.
Wow, we saw one deuce dead.
No, I was talking about the jacks. The jacks.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the jacks are all dead. And Joe is called here with 5-7 offsuit out of position.
And he hits two pair and
look
a
at
set
this.
of deuces for Jerry.
Oh, this is unbelievable. Top two against bottom set. And Joe
And an overpair.
And Jerry checks it. And Joe is probably going to bet right into Michael here.
Yeah, and I like the bet by Joe. No reason not to play this hard. I think Michael's going to raise him big, and then you think Jerry's going to re-raise it also.
I mean, Joe called there because he was deep and Michael was deep.
Is there any way Joe can get off his hand? Michael's going to raise right now, I'm pretty sure.
You think so?
But is there any way? Yeah, look, he's going to raise.
Well, now Jerry is probably going to push. Well, let's see how Jerry's going to play it.
And that's what I'm saying. Now, this guy raising, and sure enough, he's raising with what you think is aces or kings or queens, which is great. Now you have this guy who's going to either call it or re-raise again. What do you do with 7-5 here?
You know, I was looking on a probability forum on 2+2. They talked about the chances of top two against bottom set is 900 to 1. But of course, if you play enough hands, you see it, and sometimes this is overhead, no limit.
900 to 1?
Yep.
Seems like it happens more than that, doesn't it?
I don't know if you look at it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably maybe 6 or 7 times here and there. Yeah. Sucks when it does happen.
And he's going to re-push.
Wow. And he's going to raise up to almost $400.
And now with top two, you got to look at it and you're like, did this guy do? I mean, would Jerry do this with tens, jacks, queens here?
Well, Michael was the pre-flop raiser, and Jerry called him.
Oh wow! And Joe
Michael
pushes all in.
Is it an easy laydown
yeah,
for Michael?
Michael needs to get out of this hand quickly.
It really is an easy laydown for Michael, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's no way a pair of jacks can be good here.
I mean, if Michael calls here, Joe's going to win some on the side if Joe doesn't get unlucky.
Yeah. And I'm going to ask you something. Would you ever just call if you're Joe, and then bet on the turn to try to keep Joe in? I mean, try to keep Mike in. Because you know Mike's got aces, kings, or queens, or jacks, right? He has to have one of those. He's raised pre-flop. He's actually raised you. He's really representing an overpair.
Well, you might call Jerry's raise because then Michael might move over the top of you on the flop when you call.
Yeah.
Oh, the dealer just butchered that stack.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is almost an easy laydown for aces here. You can't take this much heat with one pair. I mean, jacks. Are you kidding me?
I was wondering if Joe could get away from it. It's real tough to get away from top two. It really is. You got to think of the other hands that Jerry could make this play with. Jerry could also be making this play with. Let's think about it. He could be making this play with tens or nines. He also could be making the play with, say, 5 deuce or 7 deuce.
Yeah. This pot here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, over 1,100 plus the all-in.
Right. And Joe's not drawing dead, by the way.
It would basically be, somewhere around, I think it's like a $1,500 pot right now. 400 for Michael to call if he's getting those types of odds.
I don't care the odds. You're drawing. It's not enough.
Wow.
You have to put somebody on a set here.
Yeah. And the jacks are dead.
You have to put somebody on a set here.
Michael is drawing stone cold dead because we know the jacks are dead. There are no more jacks.
Yeah, that's a bad call. It really is a bad call.
Oh, the turn's a 7!
And Joe jumps out.
Unbelievable! And the river's a 4, and Joe's going to take the whole thing down.
And
look at the smile on his face. Oh, wow. Boom!
You called with 7-5.
Wow. Michael, I mean, it seems like he's saying, and someone's asking Michael to show his hand, but
why would somebody ask?
I don't know.
That just rubs it in. Now, I got to tell you, it really is a bad call on Michael. And Michael looks like a big guy, and I don't want to upset him, but that's a bad call. That really is a bad call. You have to realize, okay, let's say the pot's 1,500, it's 400 to call. Okay, I'm getting 4 to 1 on my money.
Yeah.
There's a good chance somebody's got a set here, though.
Yeah.
Because it's not like you're just getting action from one guy who might have 2 pair, and you go, well, maybe the board pairs, I'm good. You're getting action from 2 guys. Okay, so maybe one of them has 2 pair, the other guy's a set.
And remember, there's no straight out there right now either.
No,
there's
come on.
there.
What, you think one of these guys is really pushing that hard with 3-4?
Right. Or 6-8.
6-8?
There's just nothing there. And you're right. I mean, the pot odds just doesn't come into play there. I mean, and Michael, he was drawing dead.
If you want to play no limit hold'em, and you talked about Michael there, if you want to play no limit hold'em and you can't get away from an overpair, you better not play any higher than this.
Well, and remember though, especially if you move up, you've got to figure also that. And remember, not specifically in this game, but jacks are jacks. there are 3 other one-pair hands that beat your hand. And I'm not talking about multi-way all-in, but maybe you can get an all-in heads up. There are 3 more hands that are just one pair that you don't have beat.
Yeah, I don't quite understand how it can be. What was it? It was a bet by Joe, a raise from Mike, a re-raise from Jerry, then a re-raise push all in from Joe. One pair of jacks.
Sneaky.
I wonder if they're good.
I thought you might have a set, probably.
I just wow. I mean, I got to tell you, if I'm taking that much heat from Joe and I have pocket deuces, I might lay down pocket deuces there.
Yeah, that might be one of the times when you get a raise from bottom set.
If I was really deep, let's say I had as much.
He's not deep, though.
Of course not. There's no way he's going to go from deuces there.
Yeah.
But if I'm real deep, let's say we both have $3,000, I might throw away deuces there. Maybe I smooth call and see what happens on the turn because I'm definitely scared of a higher set.
I don't think I'm going to have a with you there.
Unbelievable hand, unbelievable turn card. And Joe wins what amounts to another $1,000.
Yeah, he is now up. What is he up now?
Over 2,000. 2,700 maybe.
Jeez.
Ace,
Unbelievable.
Ace 3-7. We had a raise by, I think, Mr. X with Ace Jack.
Mr. X, what a name. Would he not give us his name? Or is that his actual name? His name is Shoot?
I'm a little confused as to the action here on the table.
Not quite sure where the action is. And we got a raise here, a bet here from seat number 9, Mr. X.
Yeah.
Mark's still down.
Now, Mr. X is actually bet with Ace Jack, and he bets about the pot. He bet about $60 into a $60 pot. Michael thinking about it here. Michael's got a weak ace. Does he really want to put his money in with a weak ace? Now, he's rebought for, it looks like $300 only. Kind of rebought a little short. Yeah, and both players, Jerry and Mike, have bought, and Mike's going to call with a bad ace here, and you wonder if maybe he's a little steaming here. Pot is now 180.
He's dominated, obviously.
Yeah, he's in terrible shape here. He's got a bad ace with no kicker. And I got to tell you, look at that flop. And there's a 6. I'm going to ask Ryan to leave it up there for a second. If a player bets into me with a flop like that, you've got to realize there's no draw whatsoever.
Well, I mean, if I'm Mr. X, I'm not liking my hand here out of position. I mean, remember, that guy might be scheming, though, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, in this game, if somebody has ace-queen or ace-king, you're going to usually hear from him. Mr. X was the raiser. Michael called.
Little $35 bet here by Mr. X.
Now, funny, he bet 60 on the flop, and now he's bet 35, and you wonder if he's trying to keep pot size small. And I think Michael's going to move all in.
Now with that weak bet, you might have induced a push here by a weaker ace. Now, you can't beat ace 7, ace 6. You can beat ace 8, ace 9, ace 10.
Yeah, I don't. The bet on the turn, obviously, the funny thing is, on the turn, he tried to keep the pot small. The problem was the flop bet made the pot big, and he's going to call, and Michael's in terrible shape. Michael needs a 9 and only a 9.
Yeah. The river is an 8, and that's going to do it. Ace Jack is good here.
Michael's open-ended now. Does that mean anything?
Ace Jack is good.
Well, maybe Ray can give him a ribbon for second place.
Mr. X was talking about he thought he was scared of ace queen.
Of course. Hey, and Mr. X is smart. I mean, obviously, Ace Jack is far from the nuts.
All right, this guy has emailed us, and I have not got to him, and it was regarding a hand. I apologize, because now he's emailed us for the 4th time. He does not sign his name. Oh, Mike Maresca says, I'm wondering what you think of this play. I was playing 2-4 no limit the other day, and I had queen 10 of hearts in position heads up against an opponent. After he raised pre-flop, the flop comes king jack 3 with 2 spades. He bets out hard. I decide to smooth call. The turn is a 4, no help. He bets strong again. I just call. The river brings out another rag spade, and I decide to represent the flush and move all in for a little more than the pot. He beats me in the pot with just ace jack. I was wondering if you think this play will most likely ever work. Will most likely never work. Thank you. Well, I mean, there's a couple of key elements missing from that in terms of stack sizes, pot sizes, player. But if you're real deep, I mean, obviously you can represent. We see it all the time on the
If
show.
you make that move against Barterai, it'll work. I mean, if you make that move against a good player who is paying attention, if both you and your opponent are deep, well, yeah, he's definitely going to put you on spades because you were calling him the whole way.
Right.
And he's probably not going to call you with a second pair. against a bad player, or if he's already pot committed himself, then he'll probably pay you off.
Jerry's going to raise it up here with pocket sevens. Made it 30 to go, and Stevie's going to call with deuces here, a couple of ducks. Pocket pair and pocket pair here. Well, Jerry's got position. He's got the best hand. He's probably going to go check, bet, fold. Wow, Jerry did not bet there on a couple of Broadway
Surprising.
cards.
Jerry's usually pretty good about following through the bet there. And now the third club comes out. Is he going to bet now? I mean, he has these two red sevens. Does he want to protect his hand? Wow, and he does not bet again. And the river's a queen of diamonds, and Jerry is good. Well, at that point, I guess you might as well check it down.
I guess. Email here from the Sleeping Giant, your pal in Dallas, Rick. And he said he just watched a recent video blog. This is the one from last week. And he was the guy who submitted the hand, Dave, with the aces. And he says, you're right, his math was off, if you remember that.
Right.
But it was kind of an interesting hand as to what you might value bet. Sometimes making a value bet on the river where if you think you're called, you might have the best hand, but you almost have to fold to a check raise. But if you're against an advanced player, might he check raise you, snuffing out the fact that your bet is so weak on the river that your hand isn't that strong?
I've forgotten the hand. I'm sorry.
Guy had aces, and it was like a king
Right,
jack.
right.
Guy check raised on the river with ace 10.
Right.
And you said you had thought he had king 10.
Right.
Remember that?
Okay.
Raise me 25.
Cheryl is going to make it 25 to go here with ace queen offsuit.
I mean, a lot of cards and a lot of hands come flying through my head, and I try to remember as many as I can. Once in a while.
For some reason, I have a pretty good memory in terms of, numbers.
Right.
I don't really remember people's names all that well, but I have actually.
Hey,
learned,
but you're the one with the ace queen.
Right. I actually have learned somewhat of a technique called I think it's called pegging or something, but I haven't really tried it out all that much yet. Kind of take a name and you try to visualize a picture with the name.
Right.
Something about that person's face where obviously you can bring it up later on. I'll always remember somebody like at a random party. If they tell me where they're from, I can remember. If everyone tells me where they're from, I can remember. But I cannot remember their name.
I see what you mean. Okay.
Yeah. Button moves over here to seat 9.
And what?
Pocket jacks here for Jerry in seat 6.
I actually do remember the hand you're talking about. The aces, the ace 10 hand. I remember that. I just wasn't listening to you.
And then Mike Maresca, now he comes in with a different email asking the same question. I don't think he thought that email was working, so now he emails us again.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, and we really, really appreciate the emails from everybody. Jerry's got jacks here.
Mark
He had
calls.
raised. Mark calls out of position with 7-8 suited.
Yep.
A hand I like to call in position, not usually out of position.
Wow, look at this. Jerry's flopped jacks full here.
Yeah, and you know what? Against Mark, I might check it too. I like to induce a bluff. Mark's a player that will bluff
Against
at
the
it.
right type of player, though, right?
And Mark's one of those.
That's okay. I got 7-8 suited.
Oh, well, in this case, he's not going to bite. But, hey, I don't mind giving him a little bit of rope. I'm not scared of anything on that board, obviously.
No,
with
you're not.
jacks.
If you're deep against Dr. Beebe, there's no way you're ever going to check the flop. You're just going to hope for some godly reason that he has 5.
Exactly.
Or that maybe he's smooth call with queens or kings.
He'd throw it
Something
away.
like that. Right, yeah.
Wouldn't even get involved.
Yeah.
Anyway, I wanted to thank everybody that sends us emails. We like to keep the show as interactive as possible. If for whatever reason we haven't gotten to your email, it is
Well, a lot of times they get.
sometimes the email is just not appropriate for the show.
Yeah, they attract it.
Right.
They attract it.
Don't take it the wrong way, though.
Yeah,
But keep trying. We do appreciate it.
Right. The openness.
right. If I'm afraid that girls are going to hook up with you. Exactly. There you go. Now you get it. See where you're going.
We got a bunch of random crap out there right now. 8-6 suited for seat number 7, Rick, and he's going to raise it up. Kind of got that one gapper, gap suited connector here. He's going to make it $35 to go. Mr. X is not going to get involved. Joe's not going to get involved. Cheryl is... She's going to call, and this is probably the first mistake of the day for her, I think. Calling a raise out of position with a hand like ace-10. I just don't like calling raises where I don't know what I'm rooting for.
Jack 3-6 here with a couple of clubs.
Well, Rick's outflopped them both. He also has backdoor diamonds. And if it checks to him, you know he's going to bet probably about $60, and he's probably going to take it down.
Interesting post here on 2+2 by Eastern Bloc talking about that hand with the ace 7-3. because he said that there was a double gut 4-5 draw out there, and it got there on the turn. Ace 7 3 5 4 being double gutted.
Right.
There you go, Mr. Silence. Haven't heard from you in a while.
We did not pick that up. Thank you.
Yeah.
And speaking of top two versus bottom set, what are the odds that you speak of when it happens? Any guesses, Bart? So I can remember, like I said, I was looking over in the probability forum today because I actually answered a PM by Surfing Illini, trying to give him a little bit of a range of hands equation. And I wanted to see if I did it right. I didn't get to post my question over in probability, but I did see somebody post up over there asking the question. It says, this cost me $27K over in probability. About how often is it top two pair versus bottom set? 900 to 1, a guy says, with this permutation. And I think he was slightly off because he used a number, but I think it's right around that number. It might be a little bit less than that.
You got to realize, obviously, if you're playing on the internet and you're playing 60,000 hands in a month or 100,000 hands a month, 900 to 1, it's going to happen to you occasionally. Obviously, that Ace 7-3 hand, thank you for pointing that out, Eastern Bloc. It's interesting. That's one of the reasons why I love double gutters like that, because it really looks like a dry board. It looks like there's no draw possible. And then when you hit it, nobody puts you on it.
Now, I think Michael straddled in seat 5, and he's got trip jacks. He's going to lead right out. Now, Jerry has him out kicked. Let's see what Jerry's going to do. And Michael might go on full-on tilt right now. Jerry is just going to call here. I mean, this might be one where you might need a little bit of information. I don't know. I mean, you're up against Michael, who has a random hand because he was in the straddle.
Yeah, I don't know if Jerry's got enough money to go away from it anyway, though, even if he finds out what he wants to find out.
Turn to queen.
Now, if the guy had queen jack, he was already beating you, so it doesn't
I think
make any
Michael's going to check raise Jerry all in here, Dave. That's what it smells like to me.
I mean, is there any value to check raising this, though? I mean, I got to tell you, if I'm Michael, I might check fold. Think about it. What do you think this guy's betting, a 7?
Well, he's going to check call.
Now, this is a draw. Jack, 7 rainbow, there is no draw.
Right.
I mean, there's a gut shot. That's it.
The river's an ace. And this is going to get chopped up, Dave.
Yeah.
This one's going to get chopped up. Running Broadway cards here. And now Jerry moves in.
I got to tell you, and Michael correctly is actually shaking his head because he knows a good chance he's beat here. Now, if this guy is betting, remember, if he had a 7, he'd take a free showdown, wouldn't he?
And look at this, though, too. You wrote about this in Under the Gun one time on a blog. Put Jerry on a jack and put him on his range. Because the only thing that you chop here with is Jack 10 or Jack 9 that he might limp in that position. You lose to Queen Jack, King Jack, obviously, or Ace Jack, right?
Yeah.
The only thing you chop with that Jerry probably would play in that position is Jack 10. And Michael looks like he's going to lay it down.
I don't mind this lay down at all. Yeah. Call $205 to win maybe half of what is in the middle pot. What's in the middle? What's in the middle?
The middle is about, I want to say, maybe 300.
Is it that much?
Yeah.
So you're calling 205 to win 150.
Well, he's going to call, and they're going to chop it up. And like I said, you specifically wrote about this in one of your Under the Gun blogs about what type of odds you need to have to call for a chop here.
Yeah. Well, that's what rarely do you want to put your money in when at best you're chopping.
And you really can reduce Jerry's range here, Dave, because Michael was the straddler, and Jerry, in essence, is under the gun.
No, you can't.
You don't think that Jerry's going to play Jack 8 under the gun? We haven't really seen that.
What are you talking about? He's been limping in with King 6. He's been calling raises with King 6.
Under the gun, I have not seen him play a hand as speculative as Jack 8.
I'd like you to watch this show, and you tell me what Jerry's been playing. What, are you kidding me? He's been in there with Jack 6. He's been in there with King 6. He's been calling raises with Ace 5 off suit.
So you're going to tell me that you're going to call there hoping he has Jack 8 or Jack 10, because you lose to any other Jack. He's not in there with Jack 5 or Jack 4. Is he under the gun in the straddle pot?
Probably not. Probably not. Yeah. You never know, but probably not.
I'm just saying, look at the
range.
range.
I'm with you. Yeah, if you think about it, you go, okay, he either has Ace Jack, King Jack, Queen Jack, Jack 10, Jack 8.
I don't think Jack 9. Yeah, Jack 8, Jack 9, or Jack 10, and I really don't think Jack 8 is a high possibility.
Jack 8 suited, you don't think he limps in? We've seen it all day from him. I'm surprised.
Really?
All day.
I'll have to look back, and I haven't seen that. I mean, we saw King 6 in middle position one time. That was about as speculative as it got from up front. King 6-3 here.
But either way, obviously, it is a very tough call to make. I'm not sure I call that. I'm not sure if I call $205 to win 150. I'm getting less than 1-to-1 on my money.
Yep.
I have to win that. I have to actually win that more than 50% of the time. I have to win that like 70% of the time, 68% of the time to make it worthwhile. And I don't think you do win that 68% of the time.
Right.
Chop it up.
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
I think
But
it's
like
probably
I said,
lay down.
I think it makes it really, really easy that he's under the gun as opposed to a total random hand on the big blind.
Yeah,
if he's a random hand on the big blind, other jack rags have to enter your range.
Of course.
Let's take a look at chip count here.
8,300 on the table now. This game's getting pretty big, and look at Joe. Joe is a monster.
He thought I had
He's a
it.
Goliath.
I put you on big.
He's got them all.
I know how big.
And how much is he up tonight?
I was hoping you both cancel each other.
Shaban, 2,700.
Big win in this game.
Not quite rivaling Kelsey's 5K, but that is a huge win for this game. Rick down 900, Michael down 800, Jerry down 450. It's Joe's world. We just live in it.
Joey's limped in with deuces here. Irwin's raised it with ace-king. And I wouldn't be surprised if Joe hits a set of ducks here. Would not surprise me one bit.
Just a set, not quads.
Right.
Well, how about like a set? Like, let's say the flop comes out like it's got to come out like king.
Well, he's not
though.
even actually going to get involved. He actually
King,
folds.
king, deuce.
Now Irwin, he's pretty deep there. I mean, Joe's not going to get involved.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
You know, the more and more though I think about it, sometimes I mean Irwin, I might get involved when I've seen him play, but against a tough player, you might not call. Even if you can get that deep, because you just figure all the things might not work for you. Are you going to make 10-to-1 heads up?
And in
you know?
that case, it had to come out specifically like ace blank deuce
Right.
for you to make
we
money.
could see one of the kings was
I
dead.
thought about those deuces and like maybe they. Well, what if safe flop for
I thought about the
Honestly,
5-7.
5-7 deuce. You're like, I am so far ahead.
Another email here from Mauricio says, I have a stupid question. Can you see the table directly? Or are you only looking at monitors? Well, we're actually looking at monitors. You know, one of the interesting plans I thought when we first moved over here to this room was we were going to have like a two-way mirror, but that never really came to fruition, right? When we moved over here to actually look at the table.
That
So we're
was the
actually
plan.
yeah,
And there are no such things as stupid questions, Mo.
just stupid people.
Exactly.
No, that was pretty.
And we've
pretty
got
interesting
that covered over here.
Yeah. Three-way action here. We had a little raise.
Mark's got a flush draw, and that is the definition. Michael's flopped a straight, by the way.
Oh, look at this. And Mark is going to bet out on a dry flush draw. Rick has got the nut flush draw.
Now that's a pretty dry flush draw, isn't it?
Yeah. Now, is Michael going to raise it up right here? Connected board.
I think you need to raise it up right here. I really do. I don't think you want to mess around. Now, if Mark is betting a flush draw, okay, you want to charge him for it. If he's betting two pair, you don't want an action killer to come out. And he is going to raise right away, and I like the raise by Michael. I really do. And if you're Rick, might you
Rick
just,
insta-calls here.
I got to tell you, is Rick's hand big enough to move all in? Remember, he's got the nut flush draw with an overcard with a gut shot straight draw. I mean, if you're going to play the hand with ace-9 of hearts, is the hand big enough just to go, you know what? I'm moving all in. If you got a top pair, I'm going to see what happens.
It's very interesting because, well, of course, with you, the nut flush draw, you don't have to worry about Mark having another flush draw that you need to drive out, obviously. But, I mean, you could call, raise, or fold here in Rick's spot, I think. And Mark, with a guy calling in between, I think this is suicide to call with a low flush draw here. This is a big mistake by Mark.
Yeah.
And he could lose a lot here if a heart comes, because I don't think he's going to get away from it going for a flush here.
Now, this is the problem. The blank comes out, Mark checks, Michael bets big, and Rick can't really call now.
This pot is quickly about $500. Well, the turn is a king.
And that's not really a scary card. I mean, you wouldn't put somebody on ace-10 here in a raised pot.
Now, is Rick going to come out and throw a little bit of a stop bet out here?
And that probably won't work.
That's not going to work. He's going to throw a $50 bet into a $500 pot. And what it might do for Michael is it might get more money because Mark might call here as well, and then Michael can pretty much push after that.
Well, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Mark's going to at least call, maybe raise. Probably just call, though. And then Michael's going to move all in. And then Rick's going to be like, oh, shoot, what do I do? What do I do? Okay, I'll call.
Yeah, now, when he calls, it's now about I want to say $600 pot. Michael moves all in. It's
Okay.
a $1,000 pot, $400 for Rick to call.
Now I'm going to predict this. Now Rick's going to hem and haw, but he's going to eventually call this because the
Really?
pot's too big. Yeah, Rick's going to call.
He's getting a little over, not even 2-to-1, maybe about 1.8 to 1 here. It's a $1,000
I know,
pot,
but
$600 to call.
He's down $1,000 tonight. He's going to try to figure out a way to get it all back right here and now. and he's going to end up putting his last $300 in.
Seems like you're doing this with the attitude, same old song and dance.
No.
predictable.
I'm just guessing.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that he's going to call here. He probably shouldn't, but I'm going to guess that he's going to call this here.
And Mark, he's
Wow, he
call.
lays down, and now what is Mark going to do? Obviously, an easy lay down for Mark, but
Well, the funny thing is that if Rick calls there, you wonder if Mark thinks, oh, there's so much money in the pot. Mark, it's got to run through your head that the other guy's on a higher flush draw.
and the river's a queen, doesn't change anything, and Michael takes it down.
I mean, say that Rick called there. That would be a horrific call for Mark to overcall on the turn, right?
Yeah, it really would have been.
Let's take a look. This is going to be the last hand of the night. Pretty entertaining stuff. I mean, it was slowed down a little bit towards the middle, but this last hour has been kind of exciting.
It has been. And I want to give Rick a little props there. You know, I really thought he would call. I think his hand was big enough to push on the flop, but obviously not a terrible way to play it, just to call there and then throw it away in the turn. Obviously the stop bet, the little blocker bet there.
Gee, that wasn't obvious, huh?
Yeah, that was kind of a
$40 into a $500 pot.
You never know. Sometimes somebody who's a little bit, somebody goes, wait a second, what happened? Maybe they think, you know, maybe somebody who's raising with a hand like ace-queen and gets scared of the king, slows down. You never know. Rest assured, though, the queen of spades came on the river.
We've
Changed
had
something.
so many emails tonight with people emailing us hands. You've got to put in the subject hand for blog, because we can't read them really necessarily on the show, and they're not going to be considered for the video blog if you don't title them that way.
If you want us to dissect your hand and analyze your hand, send us an email with hand for blog in the
subject. Yeah.
And then give us everything you know about the hand.
Right.
And we might select it for our video blog.
Raise here by Mark with sevens. Michael calls with threes, and Jerry re-raises with tens. But he really kind of mini re-raised. I mean, $25 raise and a call it, he makes it 75 total, so only 50 more.
I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. Normally that would isolate against the one pre-flop raiser. In this case, Mark actually came in as well. But you'd usually get rid of the blinds that way.
No, but Mark raised, Michael called, and then Jerry kind of mini re-raised. Now both players come in. That's the point. And now we've got about a $225 pot here going three ways. Jerry, the re-raiser on the button. Oh, Jack 8-4. Tens are still good here.
Yeah, nobody hits it. And you imagine Jerry's going to put some money in here. I think he has to. And he's going to pretty much commit himself. He's going to put about half his chips in there.
It's a $225 pot.
And he's going to bet, looks like 100. Not quite sure what the value of that bet is. I mean, I got to tell you, I'm probably moving all in there with tens. Because if somebody comes over the top of this, can I get away from it?
Not at this point.
Right, so I might as well just move all in.
Well, how about this? Might that induce Mark to check raise here?
Okay.
You know, Mark might not thinking that, oh, maybe there is fold equity here. Obviously there's none.
I mean, with a board connected like that, I remember somebody could have 9-10 here, somebody could have hearts. I don't think you can throw away tens. When the pot is now 325, you have 100 left. And he's going to take it down, and that's going to be it, right? That's it for that?
That's it. Hello, Joe. Great job. Final email from Paul Wagner saying, World Cup is a couple hours away. He picks Brazil to win, and he thinks that we should talk a little bit more about the World Cup because we're all gamblers. We should bring some sports betting into the show. Dave and I actually really aren't sports bettors. I think that's a leak in some poker players' games.
You want to bet?
That and pit leaks. Yeah, if you give me 9-1 on the U.S.
9-1?
To come out of their group.
9-1. I'll give you 9-1 for to win the whole thing.
Yeah.
I'll give you 2-1 to come out of the group.
I'll think about that one.
Everybody's wondering. Come on.
So join us tomorrow for 10-20 No Limit. By that time, we'll know if Germany has been really, really upset by Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Coming up
Go Costa Rica.
Morning. So have a good night. Good night, everybody, from Live on the Bike.
It's here. It's big. And it's closer than you think. It's not a tournament. It's what you don't see on TV. The cash is real. The stakes are high. They bet big. They win big. They lose big. High stakes live action poker. Live at the bike. Watch it live on the web or play it if you dare at the Bicycle Casino right here in Los Angeles.